And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the show, 888-659-3727. Thank you guys for waiting while we got everything adjusted and fixed. I'm not going to get into it. It just aggravates the shit out of me. So let's move on and do the hair loss show. Welcome, Joe. How are you, man?
Can't complain. Happy about my dog. Just got him out of the vet. He's healthy and happy and walking around like he's drunk because he's still on the anesthesia or the drugs that they give to relax him. And it's just a beautiful thing to see.
Well, I'm glad that he made it out of his tooth cleaning.
Yeah.
Listen, I know I avoided it for a while with my dog. Let him rest in peace.
Walks around like doctors at a ISHRS conference.
If these cats only fucking knew. You know, day one, everyone seems okay to some degree.
Yeah. Yeah.
But by the time day two comes around, the guys who are tasting single malt scotch, you could smell that from a mile away. You can't sit next to them.
It's coming out of their pores.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the first meeting I went to. I was in an elevator, and a respected member of the hair transplant community was on the floor of the elevator with her legs up in the air because she fell over drunk.
Yeah. Now, listen, I'm not going to say that I have not.
Hell of an introduction.
I'm not going to say that I haven't gotten loaded in front of some people in this industry. I had a guy come in actually to the studio. We went out. I just lost, I was like really training a lot, lost some weight, not used to the amount of alcohol that this person consumed or that I chose to consume. And I was fucking loaded. All I know is that
I've been there.
It's possible that there are images on this guy's phone that I don't know about that will surface at some point. And I'm hoping, I woke up with my pants on, so I'm hoping all is good, all is well.
There's so many ways I could go with that. Some guys in the chat room are saying my volume is really low.
Yeah, I hear it. It is very low, so pump it up.
I'm adjusting it here. How's that?
It's better. I have you potted as far up as I can. Let me just hold on. Bring yours low. Let me bring your levels up on this end.
Okay.
Bring yours down a little bit, so I get less room noise.
Okay. How's that?
All right. Keep
check
going.
1 2. Check. Check 1 2. Check 1 2 3.
Guys, how is that?
You got like a 10-second delay.
All right, guys, let us know. Also, let me know how my levels are. This was a total clusterfuck today, but we somehow got on the air.
We made it happen. We forged through.
Look, that's what we do, and we do
low.
We do our best. Still low.
Yeah.
Okay. Is my volume low as well, or is it just Joe's?
You sound fine to me.
No, well, you sound fine to me too.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to ask the question again. Is it my volume as well, or just Joe's?
Give it a sec. Just mine. Okay. Spencer, you're perfect. Okay, I'm going to raise my levels.
All right, your levels are coming through pretty strong, but go ahead.
Okay, check 1 2. Check. Check 1 2.
You're loud as shit to me, but.
Okay, how's that now, guys? How's my volume? Just sounds further away. It's not that, is it? Check 1 2. Check. Check 1 2.
You're coming in loud now.
Yeah.
This chat is just, the whole thing's frustrating. Zarian's at the strip club. He's no fucking help.
FSK is in the club. Well, we knew that. Okay.
All right, guys. So listen.
One guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. Let's just go.
All right. A bit better. Sounds like a YouTube issue.
Yeah.
How would it be a YouTube issue if I'm coming in fine?
That's a good question.
Now, I had to turn...
says, but we can hear you, so that's a good point.
Yeah, but I had to turn my aux send up or on. I don't know what. Honestly, I did this free-for-all show. Got the band back together on Friday with Andrew Zarian and Coco, and he team viewered into my rig, fucked the whole thing up. Totally fucked it up.
All right. Let's see. Volume's currently chose better.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
So, guys, I'm sorry that we're late, and listen, it's the way that it happens. Just to let all of you know that I want you to take the time to go to iTunes, subscribe to the Bald Truth Podcast. There are no new podcasts up there, but by Sunday, there are going to be new podcasts on iTunes and also Spotify. So we are literally getting the band back together. A lot of you guys have been asking me what happened to the podcast. My truth is, and Joe knows this, I was seriously considering about a year and a half ago leaving. Mm-hmm. And I have been struggling with continuing to do the broadcast or make it into a podcast for a couple of reasons. One, I've been busy as shit. I can't trust anybody to do the editing. And I wasn't sure if it was even, I knew that the live show was important. Guys wanted to speak to us. We were able to help them. And obviously, the recorded program is important too, but I didn't know how much time I wanted to invest in getting content out there. But I've changed my mind, as you guys know, who are longtime listeners and viewers. I'm going to go full force this year because the opportunity is just too great. And what I mean by opportunity, the opportunity to really kind of readjust what's happening, to turn the ship around, to, kind of make it a safer place within all this chaos. I hate to say it, guys, because the politicians aren't going to like this, but it's too fucking easy, and we could really change a lot of lives. And let's, to be honest with you, completely candid, there's also a lot of money left on the table. Why should we allow other people who are bad guys to sweep it up? Joe?
I cannot agree more. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't agree more with that. The situation that we have right now is, we've talked about this countless times on the show. The industry has, I don't want to say reinvented itself, but it has morphed into something much more dangerous, much more wide open for not just consumers, but people that want to try and make a dollar in this industry. And I made a video recently about my channel that, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching this through my channel, how, like on this channel, I'm not selling anything. And everything that I'm putting out there is completely free. Why do I do that? Well, it's because I know that if you're educated the right way with real information based on real experience, then you're likely to make a better decision for yourself. And the number one thing that I'm pushing is to not have a hair transplant to begin with, because if you can't handle the fact that it might not turn out, then you're not ready to even consider a hair transplant. You gotta look at both sides of the coin and understand that you are tossing that coin every time you go in for a hair transplant. And sometimes it works out. Depends on where you go. Usually it works out, but sometimes it doesn't. And I've taken that cue from Spencer, because he's the OG. He's the original do not have a hair transplant guy, constantly talking people out of it, because if they can be talked about out of it, especially on a show like this or through a couple of videos that I've made, then you weren't ready to begin with. And one of the reasons why we talk about this is not just because it might not turn out, But back to the today's market type of thing, it is far more dangerous today than ever before. And this segues into, I wish we had a drum roll kind of audio dub or audio clip.
Well, if you would have told me, hold on, let me put my headset.
I didn't think about it until now.
I just fucked up the camera. If you would have told me, I would have had a drum roll ready. Jesus.
Well, I just thought of it. But that segues into,
let me fix my
echo
camera.
effect would be good. Xenophobia in the hair transplant industry. Now, what is xenophobia? Xenophobia is quite literally the fear of other people or other nationalities other than your own. But how does that apply to the hair transplant community or the industry at large? Well, it's quite simple. If you've been doing any sort of research over the past year, you've seen videos, you've seen blog posts, you've seen stories about why you should avoid cheap clinics. Now, it's obvious on the surface, or I guess I should say, it's obvious what the surface meaning on that is be careful of unscrupulous clinics. That's what you're supposed to think. But ultimately, when you think about it, what's wrong with a cheap clinic? Or even more importantly, where do you find a cheap clinic? Do you find cheap clinics in North America? Do you find them in the States? Do you find them in Canada? When I say North America, that's also Mexico. So I'll just say the United States and Canada. Do you find cheap clinics? Not really. Cheap clinics being, a couple bucks a graft, usually for an FUE procedure. You don't find them. Do you find them in the UK? Maybe a couple here and there. But let's be honest with ourselves. Where are you going to primarily find a cheap clinic, quote unquote? You're going to find them in Turkey. You're going to find them in India, Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Philippines. So the problem here is realistically not avoiding a cheap clinic. It's avoiding bad clinics. But unfortunately, there are people in this industry, the politicians, and a lot of clinics that want you to avoid those kinds of clinics, not because they're looking out for your best interest. It's because it's hurting their bottom line. Because if you stay in North America, hey, everyone wins. If you stay in Central or Northern Europe, everyone wins. But if you start going to these cheap clinics, then the only person that loses right off the top are the North American, Central Europe, and Northern Europe, European clinics. But there's nothing wrong with cheap clinics. Not a single thing. I work with a cheap clinic. I'm going to be taking on another one here once I'm finished with the review process. I know plenty of cheap clinics that can transplant circles around the best names that you've heard of in the industry, day in, day out, consistently. And so when I see these campaigns about avoiding cheap clinics, or when I see YouTubers sitting there with their doctor talking about how to avoid a bad surgery and say avoid cheap clinics, it pisses me off because it's extremely xenophobic and even racist, because we all know what you're talking about. We all know where these cheap clinics are, and they just happen not to be in your own backyard. And I think it's wrong. And I think that if you're looking to have a hair transplant and you see these kinds of messages, think about it. Think a little bit deeper about what the message is here and who's putting it out, and you might figure something out pretty shocking.
Well, I mean, there are and now I can't hear myself because I had to turn your sound so low so that I could hear you. Andrew, I'm going to get you, man.
Damn you, Andrew!
Jesus, I can't even hear myself. Here, and I say this all the time, this is my line. Here's the reality of the situation. Back when I started to research my book back in the late 90s, book was published in 1998, I was provided some information about some of the best physicians in the world. I was lucky enough to meet Bob Bernstein, and that's when I realized that hair transplant surgery could actually be a viable option because of pure follicular unit transplantation at the time. That was absolutely the gold standard. That's what changed the game. I got to fix my volume. So during the time when I was doing my research, Bob Bernstein was gracious enough, even though he authored the first paper, him and Bill Rasman, on follicular unit transplantation. I wasn't privy to that information at the time. He did say, listen, it was really Bobby Limmer who made this discovery, who took the time to look at follicular units under a microscope and people's scalp under a microscope and realized that hairs grew in naturally occurring bundles. And if you chose to actually dissect those bundles intact, that you're probably going to get the most natural result when you reimplanted them into the scalp. But what no one complained about at the time was that Dr. Limmer trained his staff to essentially perform the bulk of the surgery. At the time, it was called stick in place. Mm-hmm. And what Dr. Limmer did was he removed the strip from the back of the head, sutured the wound closed, and then handed over the tissue to his incredibly well-trained and skilled technicians to not only dissect those grafts using stereomicroscopic dissection, but to also create recipient sites and to implant those grafts. Mm-hmm. Some of the best hair transplant surgeons, most well-known hair transplant surgeons and cosmetic surgeons in the world went to the Limmer Clinic to have their hair transplant surgery. The late, great Dr. Seeger in Canada also utilized the stick-in-place technique. And any hair transplant surgeon worth their salt who's deciding to have a hair transplant back in the late 90s would end up in either Dr. Limmer's chair or in Dr. Seeger's chair, allowing technicians to perform the bulk of the surgery. My voice just cracked.
Yeah.
So, my question is this. A couple of years ago, the ISHRS came out with this whole mission statement saying, you know, physicians who are doing surgery or surgeons doing surgery only. And that, you know, if you're going to a clinic where technicians are involved in the surgery in a quote-unquote surgical capacity, that these are clinics that should be avoided. But the truth is, this has been happening at least for 22, 23 years that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
And then when I think the so-called black market really started to affect people here in the U.S., they kind of got off of that whole surgeons doing surgery thing and focused more on the black market concept and the whole cheap surgery concept. But the truth is there were surgeons here in the U.S. who figured out a way to make things less expensive, who might not have been cutting corners as much as we think they were, and they were providing good service. Yeah. But it's because of the scale of non-physicians performing surgery or being involved in the surgery to the capacity that they really shouldn't be. And the fact that so many people are traveling to get less expensive surgery that these people fucking panicked and are now, in my view, throwing out red herring after red herring to try to kind of keep their market share. When the truth of the matter is they supported this for many, many years. And frankly, the reason guys like Larry Leonard and other really well-known technicians in this field who do incredible work or are known to do great work were able to do this in the first place is because these old-timers, these politicians put punches in their hands and allowed them to perform surgery in their own clinics. Mm-hmm. So, the truth is it's all bullshit, Joe.
100%. That's part of the reason why I disassociated myself from any campaign that specifically targets the idea of doctor-only surgery, because it's hypocritical, and like the title of the show says, xenophobic, and maybe even racist. And I just couldn't really move forward with having my name attached to that. And I'm sorry to see how, you know, some people out there are, you know, like there was a moderator of a forum that made his own video about this, and it blows my mind.
Don't make me laugh. Don't make me laugh.
No?
Go ahead.
No?
Yeah.
Well, it blows my mind because of the representation of some of the clinics on there are doing the exact same thing.
These people were part of the creation of the black market.
Yeah.
That's what's insane.
100%.
The people that supported the pure evil of this field helped to create and foster and reinforce what they are now calling the black market. These guys who paid money for what they say is fucking leads, and they turned their back and their heads, or they turn the blind eye to the pure insanity that they were allowing to happen in this industry.
Yeah.
And supported it. I got to tell you, they're getting what they fucking deserve. The roosters have come home to roost. Is that what it is? The chickens have come home to roost.
The chickens have come home to roost. And you know what was really interesting about the video that I just mentioned? Down in the description of the video, there's actually a link that says, to get your hair transplant consultation with a doctor, click here. What? That's the epitome of how the black market works. It blew my mind.
There's a link on that video?
Down in the description, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even look at it.
Yeah.
Which video? You talking about the video from the forum or a video from?
Yeah.
Okay.
From the moderator, yeah. It's I was speechless when I saw it. I really was.
Yeah, but I mean, these guys, and what's funny about all these guys, everyone talks about transparency, shit like that. They all pander to the fucking market. Mm-hmm. That's the way that it is. That's how people earn their living. I have been fortunate enough to figure out a way over the years, even though there's a tremendous amount of cross confusion and just, twist these politicians twist the reality of what we do. But I was fortunate enough never to have to sell out. I was fortunate enough never to have to say, hey, you know what? We're going to do online consultations because I want to make sure that you guys get fucking business so that you can support what we do. Yeah. When I was asked to do that, I said, you know what? That's not what I do. That's not what the IAHRS is all about. And if it's something that you're uncomfortable with, then you could leave. The people that stay with us, for the most part, are those who support truth in advertising. Our message of surgery being a last resort, and they understand that I will never sell a hair transplant, ever.
I think it's telling when you're sitting there saying, I will never actively sell a hair transplant. I've got video after video talking about why someone shouldn't have a hair transplant unless it's the last resort. Yet here we have the schmuck making a video talking about beware of cheap hair transplants, and then there's some criticisms about different areas of the industry, and then down below, by the way, if you want to have a hair transplant consultation with a qualified doctor, click this link. It's beyond hypocrisy. It's idiotic. I mean, I get speechless because there's so many things I like to say about it, but it just overwhelms me how incredibly double standard this is, hypocritical, and it shows you the real motivation for how these videos or how this message is promoted. It's still designed to get leads, to get sales for doctors, and to induce people into having surgery when they otherwise may not have surgery. And a lot of medical organizations hate that.
Yeah, I mean that's actually
the rest wasn't.
No, it was all wonderful, Joe. But that is something that is always, and I would tell these doctors, there's a guy in Ohio who's still part of what we do, and he has been for a long time, but he's not, he doesn't fully understand, and he's a big lead guy. And he's actually one of the first guys to ask me to do online consultations. No matter how much I try to explain what we do and the value of what we do as far as to the consumer, which then makes whatever leads you get from people finding our resources much more valuable, because these guys really want to have surgery. In most cases, they're very well informed. They've done their due diligence. This is what you want walking through your door. To this day, this guy compares, and he wrote this to me at one point, And he may be listening to this, and I hope that he is. It's important that he hears this. He was concerned that somebody that I barely talk to, that I have on the broadcast, you know, I mean, listen, he's under the umbrella of the Bald Truth because he does co-host the UK show. But it's not like I'm talking to this guy every day and making decisions for him. This guy is his own man. He was asked to write an article, top 20 surgeons, hair transplant surgeons in the world. That's the way the media works. He took that opportunity and he did it. Just so happens, just like you, that anyone worth their salt who's trying to guide people in a safe direction are going to guide them to IHRS doctors, period.
Right.
So he lists who he would go to, and this guy wasn't on the fucking list. So he writes me and says, he can't believe that I would separate the top 20 from all the rest. That doesn't make any sense to him. Why? And now he's looked at as second best in the eyes of the consumer, or whatever, however he put it. My first thing to tell him was, listen, dude, that would be political suicide for me and also professional suicide to separate the doctors who support us and who are part of the IHRS, separate the top 20 in the world from all the rest. That would be stupidity. I said, you should read the byline. But what he wrote to me was that he gets all his leads from Real Self and ZocDoc. I have it in front of me.
I've never heard of ZocDoc.
Still comparing what we do to these lead generation sites, and compared us to the other forum as well, saying that, well, that other forum isn't really getting me much. And I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck? So I picked up the phone and I explained my situation to him. And I told him, and he said that, you know, there's other guys that are upset too about this top 20 thing. And I told him, look, this is the reality. Next time, read the fucking byline. And if you don't believe in what we're doing, and if you don't believe in patients before profits and politics, then you have the choice to step down. Now, he still hasn't. And the reality is, and the fact is, this is a very good doctor. He's good at what he does. So there's no reason for me to remove this guy and not have somebody in that part of the country who could actually help people. But I got to tell you, if I was running another type of a business, this guy would have been, I would have fired this guy as a client, quote unquote. There's no fucking way I would want to work with this person. But the truth is, he's very good at what he does. So how can I, just to deburden myself from this nonsense, how can I not provide this information to the public who needs it, just because this person doesn't fully understand what we do?
Well, he doesn't have to be part of it. If he wants to leave, see ya.
Well, that's the point. So why would I remove anybody who actually provides a really good service to people? I mean, this is a guy that I've never had a complaint about in 20 years. So it would be selfish of me, and it would do, I think, what we do a tremendous disservice just to stand on ceremonies and be, you know, and say, you know what, you're an asshole. I don't want to work with you.
Right. I'd have a hard time with that, but in the end, that is the right move. It's like, just because you may think he's a jerk off doesn't mean it's not worth keeping on for the masses to have another solid consideration. Because it is about the patients, it is about the consumers, and making sure they find the safer alternatives, as opposed to avoiding the cheap clinics.
Yeah, and that's very funny. You know, I mean, so I looked at the database during this time, and I looked at who applied to the organization from his state. One guy they applied through the SmartGraft company to the organization. And another guy is a Neograft cosmetic surgeon. The guys that this particular doctor is complaining about. And I took a look at these guys, and one guy seems to be doing the surgery himself and really wants to learn, but he doesn't have enough time on tissue. But he probably will next year by the year's end. And I'm thinking to myself, if this guy just sees what we're doing as marketing, if this guy thinks that I'm just collecting checks, then maybe I should just cut this guy loose and take these two guys on.
Yeah. That wouldn't be a bad way to go.
But I can't do it. I can't do it. So the point is, guys who are calling in, please, when you are out there, and Joe, he came to me earlier. He's like, what do you want to talk about today? And I'm like, dude, I'm tired. You think about it. And he said, this is what's been bugging him. And I'm like, it's fucking great. And I do believe, so you're speaking about xenophobia or racism. I mean, I guess xenophobia is a category of a less overt type of racism, right?
It's a macro racism, not against any specific. It's actually like inverse, because it's not prejudice against a specific racial group. It's prejudice against all racial groups, or the fear of all racial groups.
It's also a fear.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a fear.
Yeah.
So I cannot tell you how many people at these conferences, 2 conferences that I've been to in the last 2 years, who don't say the black market and then don't say cheap hair transplants, but actually say Turkish hair transplant mills and Indian hair transplant mills. And that's their focus. They're barely focused on what's happening in their own backyard. They're just starting to get that focus. Something that I brought up 12 years ago. 12 fucking years ago. I'm like, look, if you guys don't take control of this, people are going to be harmed. And as more people get harmed, you're going to start noticing a hit to your bottom line as well. So let's take care of this. I remember when Michael Oakes at an ISHRS conference at the bar.
Michael Oakes.
Yeah, this is the standard of care that everyone is following in this field. I don't know why these guys are complaining. And you know what? He's right. Look at Bobby Limmer. Stick in place. Every great hair transplant surgeon who decided to have a hair transplant back in the day considered Bobby Limmer or went to Bobby Limmer or Dr. Seeger.
Or David Seeger,
David Seeger. No one had a concern about the technicians being about, these girls have good hands.
That is amazing. Like it really is amazing, because if you ask any hair transplant doctor today that was around 20 to 23 years ago, and ask them for a history of the best hair, who was the best at different times in the history of the we'll say the modern history of hair transplants over the past 30 years, both Bobby Limmer and David Seeger are top of the list in that time frame.
They made history.
Bobby Limmer,
they
made history. Like, he identified the follicular unit, and as it grows in the scalp, and suggested it be transplanted again as it grows in the scalp using microscopes. David Seeger, first guy to get real density. First guy to get, I think he was the first one to do 3,000 grafts on a regular basis using FUT. This is back in the late 90s when 3,000 grafts was unheard of.
Dude, when he applied to the IHRS, the physician in the field who he gave as a reference, who had a hair transplant with him, was Dr. Alan Feller.
Yeah.
Who ended up evolving his practice and becoming one of the most well-known hair transplant surgeons
of the mid-2000s.
The end of the century and of the mid-2000s, early mid-2000s. He contacted me. He didn't even know what the IHRS was. He was relatively new in the field and he said, listen, I know this industry. I've done my research. That's why I decided to fly to see Dr. David Seeger and his staff.
Yeah.
Feller's got one of the best hair transplants in the business. I know that he went to another physician afterwards who shall remain nameless, because I don't know if he wants that out there. However, in his mind, he picked the 2 best in the business at the time. And he might have gone to Dr. Seeger if he didn't die for his second or third procedure.
Right.
So, guys, please, it's all fucking bullshit. It's all fucking nonsense. And you know what? We tell you guys the truth. We expose the nonsense. However, you're still being put in harm's way every day because of one reason. No matter what they say, it has nothing to do with consumer advocacy. It has to do with control of the market. And they lost control of the market. And sadly, because of their apathy and because of them turning a blind eye to things, and because they put the punches in technicians' hands, because they trained these people to perform surgery, because they're the ones who trained technicians to use implanters so that they could go and fucking go on Pornhub in the afternoon or have a long 2 martini lunch because they didn't want to fucking do the work. The black market was created by those who are now fighting the fight. And that's the bald truth. 888-659-3727. You like that, Joe? Joe's a funny dude.
That was good.
Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hooray, first caller from Morty from New York City.
Morty, what's happening, man?
New York Morty, how you doing?
No.
Now, I'm curious.
Doing good,
are you able to hear Joe well through the phone?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you guys fine.
Great, that's good.
Okay, good.
So I fixed everything.
Yeah. First of all, I'm loving this topic, just so that you know, because at the end of the day, and you know, it's funny because what you were saying, Spencer, about this specific doctor from Ohio, I don't know who he is, and quite frankly, it's not all that important. But the important thing to realize, and now that I've met a few of these doctors face to face, is there's some characters out there, man. they're all.
Most of the industry is full of characters.
Yeah, man. They're a bunch of characters. You know, there's no question about it. But the one thing that is true is at the end of the day, if you're going to go through this, if you're going to spend the money and the pain and the time to go through this, you want to make sure your hair looks good. And at the end of the day, when somebody looks at a nice head of hair, they're not going to care whether the guy you went to was a racist or not, whether the guy you went to was a xenophobe, whether he was or she was, a moron and didn't understand marketing, or whether they went to Pornhub or didn't go to Pornhub. At the end of the day, they care about results.
Right.
And I think it's really important that we have to focus on that. So if this guy from Ohio, like I said, if he's been doing this 20 years and you've never gotten a complaint, then you want to keep him on there, even if he's the biggest dick going. You know?
Oh my God!
So,
this guy has actually made overtures to, if that's the right word, to other members, saying, "Look, we need to." Essentially, this is hearsay, but several people have told me this. You know what? Why don't we just try to, stand up against Kobren and just say, "Look, we want him to do this. Otherwise, we're going to leave." And I'm like, "Give me a fucking list," and you guys will all be on the fucking sidelines. I have 300, actually maybe more now, that are applicants that are possible considerations. I'm kind of waiting for them to get more time on tissue. Some of them don't want to be associate members. They want to wait till they can make full membership. But Joe has seen, I send Joe sometimes, just so he sees them. I send him applications, and I'm like, oh, here's 2 today. Now, just to put this out there for the average person. 2 new members to the IHRS who are paying full membership, meaning that they are full members. That equates to $48,000 a year in my pocket. That's 2. I get those applications in 1 day. So if you were to look at the IHRS list, or society, the list of doctors listed, you'll see that it's relatively small. If I just wanted to add 1 applicant a week, I can add 52 a year. And that is the God's honest truth. I send these to Joe, and Joe's like, take the money. I'm just kidding.
I thought that was your dad who used to say that.
It is. My dad.
Yeah, it was his dad.
Listen, every time I see one of these guys apply, I think of my father, like, Spencer! Take the money.
But we are grateful that you don't, because at the end of the day, you are protecting us, and that's the point. Is that even though this guy from Ohio is the biggest dick going, he's got 20 years worth of surgery with no complaints to you, and that means a lot, because it means that I don't have to wade through hundreds of people on Real Self. And by the way, ZocDoc is actually a physician's, not even a referral service. They're like a full service for doing things like doctor's appointments and scheduling and billing and all that type of stuff. I know because I applied to work for them.
Right.
So that's who they are. It's interesting that he considered them to be a referral service or marketing service, because apparently that's the only thing the guy understands. But be that as it may, if he does good work, then and he's willing to pay the money to be on the list, he should stay on the list. All for it. And the flip side, though, is that you want to make sure that if you're going to take on those 2 doctors and take their $48,000, that you're comfortable saying, hey, if you guys, if you're out there hell bent to get a a hair transplant and you understand the risks, that by going to these folks instead of the people who aren't on my list, you have a better chance of getting a good result. That's what you're there for. And I think that's why we appreciate you maybe leaving those guys off. So,
well, I appreciate you saying that. And listen, yeah, you know what? There is a reality to, me essentially looking out for the consumer, but I also have always looked at the long game. And honestly, what do I need? I've been doing this for so long. I mean, it doesn't fucking make a difference to me. And I'm looking in the chat. This guy loves my I could be so rich anecdotes. The truth is that there are ways to become, financially stable doing the right thing. Most people just haven't figured it out.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. Like I don't have as many applications as Spencer does, but it's a process to apply to be a part of what I do. And like currently I've got 2 doctors I'm talking to. The process has already taken a month and it's not even halfway complete. And I do get, I get these Turkish applications. I get people that I've never heard of saying, where actually, you know what? What's funny is I got an application from a Turkish clinic that I visited 4 years ago with a hidden camera.
Why not?
I didn't tell you this.
You can't. You can't beat him joining, dude.
Exactly. But what's funny is I didn't even bother responding because I realized that the marketing guy who's the one that reached out to me had no idea about. Well, his boss had no idea that the marketing guy was reaching out to me to talk about being a part of Hair Transplant Mentor, which I thought was hilarious.
It's great.
Yeah, but it's easy to take the money. It really is. Like I could have my channel chock full of laser caps, roller pens, derma roller pens, whatever you call them, shampoos and lotions and potions. I could be filled with that stuff all over my website, my channel, coupon codes left and right. I did that one time with a product I still believe in, but I've actually decided not to push it on my channel or anywhere else because I don't want to be that guy. It was easy to do. I made, like, when I did do it, I made on the was it the Heriton thing, the hair fiber thing, I made $500 for basically making a video, and that was it.
Here, look,
that's all I did.
I'm looking at an application that came in today. Okay, that was forwarded to me by our person.
And sorry to finish that thought off.
Please do.
That was 1 week.
Yeah, I know.
And I shut it down.
Here, I'm going to read this. I'm not going to name the name. Location: Phuket, Thailand. I can't pronounce that. Years
Phuket.
Practicing, 13.
Why are you going to get demonetized?
Yeah. Years practicing, 13 years. I have been a member of the ISHRS practicing hair restoration since 2008. I've just been approved to become a diplomat of the ABHRS. I would love to be part of your esteemed organization. That's a guy with check in hand from Thailand who is now board certified, quote unquote, because there's no board certification in this field, by the ABHRS. Why shouldn't I take his check? Everyone else, if you were to watch this guy's video from this so-called influencer who sells laser caps, you would think that going to the ABHRS, that you have a much greater chance. You're almost, and the word guaranteed was used twice. You're guaranteed that at the very least you're going to a doctor who knows what they're doing. Bullshit. Bullshit. I had somebody who used to be a part of it.
Spencer, you need to tell us why, because obviously you're not. So there's got to be a reason.
Well, I don't know. I haven't even checked into this guy yet, but I'm saying there's a chance that there's like a 99% chance that I can't take him on.
Okay.
You know, which sucks for me. Which sucks for me because who doesn't like money? You know, let's be honest. Who doesn't fucking like money? Everyone wants money. But so you want to know why? Okay, so I had a guy who asked me to remove this video. It was up for a few minutes, for about an hour or two. who was used to formerly involved with the ABHRS. And look, I think the ABHRS is a good first step. I think having some sort of a standard where there's an actual exam, so at the very least, if you go into this doctor's office, you know that he understands how to use a fucking crash cart, and that he knows the basics of hair transplant surgery and all the nuances, at least on paper. Doesn't mean he's any good. But I think that's a good step, and I think that it really shows a commitment to the field to sit for any type of an exam. But it doesn't guarantee results. This guy used the word guaranteed twice. So I had this guy at this meeting, interviewed him, and he said to me, his exact words were, and this is a very well-known person, a big politician in the ISHRS, said that he used to be associated with the ABHRS, and he's going to be honest, some of the worst, these are exact words, Joe, tell me if I'm getting them right, some of the worst hair transplant surgeons in the world today are board certified by the ABHRS. His exact words. I have this on tape. He asked me to pull it down, but if I ever need to put it back up there, I could just click the button, and it's online again. Yep. So think about that. This is a guy who's got to be.
That was truth.
Who's got to be 60 years old now, or maybe he's a little less. I don't know how old he is. He's a little older than me, maybe 4 or 5 years. And I was like, oh my God, I'm applauding online, saying this guy preached the truth. I couldn't believe that he said this. And within an hour, he was in a panic, and he told me to please take it down.
Yeah, it's like
he was in a fucking
sometimes
political
it's
panic.
just a bit too good to be true.
I'm like, you want me to take? Why on earth would you get on? Do you know that we had cameras and lights? There was a whole setup with mics, and you were being recorded. I didn't ask you what you thought about the ABHRS. You decided to disclose that yourself. I just sat there with this shocked look on my face, like, this motherfucker is actually saying this? So when you ask us to explain what's going on, this is the truth that you guys don't hear. Sometimes it sounds like we're beating a drum when we say it. And that's why I think it's so compelling when physicians are willing to come out and speak the truth. And that's why, like, our undercover doc is so important to what we do. He's actually about to go on an undercover mission next week, which is pretty funny.
Sweet.
Yeah, pretty exciting. But anyway, Morty, I tend to ramble about these things because you flip that switch, you get me started, man.
Well, I mean, the subject was ripe for it, man.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to point out about the whole, like, xenophobia and racist thing is, I mean, just last week you had Dr. Cole and Dr. Erdogan call in. Dr. Erdogan, I mean, after I went ahead and I saw some of the stuff he's got going on, I mean, you're going to look at his clinic and you're going to say that that's a cheap clinic? I don't know, but it certainly doesn't look like it.
Well, no, it's less expensive than here than in most of North America, than in Canada and the U.S. It's less expensive than in many parts of Europe. However, he is one of the higher ends, higher priced guys in Turkey, in Istanbul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, and the thing is, this guy works on tremendous volume. There are a few complaints out there online, but I would say that in all the complaints that I've seen, honestly, at least coming through the IHRS, we have had 2 that have actually come through the IHRS in Bald Truth Talk that I'm aware of, maybe 3 in all the years that he's been a part of things. And there's some other things online. Maybe there's a total of 7 or 8, and that's not to diminish the reality of people getting fucked up, because that sucks. And that's why we tell you, if you can't deal with getting fucked up, possibly, don't have a hair transplant, because the risk is real.
Yeah.
But if I think about the volume this guy puts out, compared to the number of complaints that are seen, either come through the IHRS or are seen online, those complaints are minuscule in comparison to the amount of patients that walk through his clinic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do? How do you deal with that? How does anybody assess that? Is he getting these complaints because he has a cheap clinic? No. Is he getting these complaints because he's just allowing technicians to be a major part of the surgery? You know what? That's what a lot of people want to tell you. But if the technicians are trained well, Dr. Alan Feller will tell you he went to a doctor who used technicians to do the majority of the work.
Mm-hmm.
And so did many other great hair transplant surgeons. Why all of a sudden is this an issue?
Because it's the bottom line. It affects the bottom line.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that has nothing to do with the hair, and that's really the sad thing is that the consumer ends up losing. The other point was that I wanted to mention, because of all of this talk about technicians, is the rule that passed in California that you've been talking about a few months back. The fact that there really can't be any technicians in California going forward. That's only going to increase the differential in terms of price, I think.
Well, what's going to happen is these clinics are going to have to hire less experienced physician's assistants, or what are those? They're almost like doctors. They can fill scripts.
PAs.
Oh,
not PAs.
Physician assistants.
Nurse practitioners.
Nurse practitioners or physician assistants. They will legally be allowed to take part and and score the skin, and do everything that these assistants aren't. The problem is, it's going to cost more money to hire these people, and people will be willing to do it. So there's going to be a cost factor involved, but also there's an experience factor. So yeah, they're all going to be within the guidelines of the law, but how is that going to help the patient?
It won't.
Yep.
It's going to make results worse. It's going to harm. It's going to be more costly to the patient, and the end result is going to end up being worse, at least for the first year of training.
But hey, you're still in the States, so that's better, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well said.
Exactly, 100%. And this actually kind of touches into a different lane of discussion about other videos and discussions online about death from hair transplant in foreign countries. I know of more cases where someone died from a hair transplant or during a hair transplant in the U.S. than any other country. Heart attacks, anaphylactic shock, anesthesia, all these reasons that I've recently seen are attributed to inexperienced, greedy, cheap clinics, which is complete horseshit, was the direct result of expensive name, their names if we mention them, hair transplant doctors in the United States.
Dead people. People of
dead.
I remember this one,
as a doornail.
This one woman who contacted us, who ended up filing a lawsuit against this doctor in the state of Illinois, walked in, fucking, said goodbye to her fucking husband, came back, guy's in the hospital, dead. That's it. Have a good luck on your cosmetic surgery. This is going to change your life. It sure did.
I'm gonna go shopping. I'll pick you up in 5 hours.
Yeah.
From
Where's
the
my
morgue.
husband? Oh, there was a problem. He's in the hospital.
Yeah.
Really? What happened? Well, you're gonna have to go check with them. Guy died. Here in the state of California. It was like 7 or 8 years ago. Very close. Happened in Culver City, California. Very well advertised clinic. Guy died. In the chair.
Yeah.
Dropped dead. Lidocaine toxicity. Which
There
is
you go.
very common. Almost, I would say, 75% of those who end up having any cosmetic procedure, but they seem to be a little bit more liberal when it comes to hair transplant surgery. But most people will suffer some degree of lidocaine toxicity. They don't know what it is, but all of a sudden, they have the lidocaine, or they need more lidocaine or more anesthetic, and their teeth start to hurt a little bit, or they become a little numb in the jawline. That's lidocaine toxicity.
Yeah.
So you're getting your fucking head injected with anesthetic?
Yeah.
You could die. There's nothing to do with it being a cheap clinic.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Cool.
What do you think of that one?
Get in, and this is, yeah. Well, I tell you, do you really want that hair that badly? Anyway.
Well, the truth is, and I'll let you ask the question, but the truth is, when it works, like they're saying in the chat room, it really works. And, you want to mitigate all of these possible, complications. You want to, just do your research and understand, I always say the scope and all the possible pitfalls. But in most cases, if you really step back and do your research, you're going to have a positive experience. Mm-hmm. Many more positive experiences than negative experiences in the good hands. So, go ahead, dude.
Yeah. Okay, last question, and this is to Joe because you're a resident of Canada, and
I saw your email. I just didn't have time to respond to it.
Yeah. It's no worries.
So dry scalp from the cold. Well, first off, it doesn't really get that cold here. Like right now, it is about 55 degrees outside. It's a very temperate area, so but I understand the question, and what I've done in the past to deal with dry scalp, and that was from having, like I used to have bad flakes. I used seborrheic dermatitis where large flakes were coming off, and it was scared the shit out of me. Like I thought it was going to threaten my existence in the hair transplant industry, because if I got these big patches of balding on the sides of my scalp from seborrheic dermatitis, I'm not going to be very effective. People aren't going to listen to me. But I was able to deal with it by using a tar-based shampoo, and I changed my diet. Like I really cut back on this. This is when I was having problems with well, not problems, but this was when I was eating a lot more sugar in my diet, and yeah. So I mean, there was some stress going on in my life, which can also contribute to that. But dry scalp in general, I think is also something that can be treated with a lot of water intake for at least a month, because it takes time for your skin to react to internal changes. Because every 30 days you basically shed all these enough cells to where the skin that you see on top of your arm or leg or face or whatever is new skin. So it takes a long time, right? So drink a lot of water. Don't take in so much sugar in your diet. Exercise, obviously, and all that will help with maybe some normal sebum production, which is what gets your skin moist and a nice oily sheen to it, and should help to alleviate the dryness. But I would suggest you talk to a dermatologist about it if it's a big concern.
Yeah, it's like I said, I think it's just my body getting used to living up north again. And one of the things that it's like I've been indoors a lot. The heat's very dry. I get dried. My sinuses get dry. My just the rest of my skin gets dry. And of course, the concern, me being who I am, is the scalp. And that's why I figured I'd ask. And it's interesting, of all the things you mentioned, you didn't mention putting anything on it, which is good. So it means, because I'm doing ketoconazole, and I'm using when I'm not washing with that, I'm washing with the zinc pyrethrin, and when I'm not washing with that, I'm just not washing the hair. So and when I was in Florida, I really didn't have any trouble with this. It seems to be here, but again, it could be a number of things. It may not necessarily just be the cold. Thanks for the answer.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
All right, my man. Listen, we're going to let you go. Thanks so much for the call, and
you're welcome.
Thank you for your support, man.
Yeah, as always.
Take it easy, fellas.
All right, man. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Andrew, if you're watching, I can't answer your questions now. I needed you when I needed you, and you weren't there. I sound like a woman.
It is Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone, by the way. If you're in the chat room, it means that you're lonely. Sorry about that. So, raise a beer to you.
It really is. I mean, if they're lonely, they think they're lonely. But let me tell you something. This is the worst day of the year to go out. You're being fleeced by every restaurant in town.
Yeah,
the best thing to do is to go away on Valentine's. Make sure you don't come back until the 15th. You can go and get all the chocolates and shit at half price. And you could actually get
That's what I did for Christmas. Went shopping the day after Christmas.
Yeah, and you actually get a reservation at any restaurant you want, because everyone's like, I just spent $700 to take this broad out to eat. And she was too full after the warm butter cake to have sex. Sorry. That's my life. Let's take a phone call. 888-659-3727. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, Spencer and Joe. This is Trevor from New Jersey.
Trevor from New Jersey.
Trevor.
How are you, man?
Hey, thanks for scaring me to death about hair transplants.
You're welcome. That's our job,
That's what we do, man.
So I've got a question about finasteride here.
Sure.
I'm not sure if you remember me. I've called in before saying that, one time I called in saying that I had been debating whether or not to take it for 3 years. And then I finally worked up the courage to do it. And I've been on it for 9 months, oral finasteride, 1 milligram generic, for 9 months up to this point, and I have no idea whether it's working or not. And it's really terrifying to me because I haven't seen any like regrowth on the hairline whatsoever. And every single success story that I read online, the guy says that he sees some baby hairs growing up there after 3 months. I've never seen a baby hair on my head in my life.
Right, and that's a really great point that you made, and I think it's important that we speak about this. First of all, you have to know where the information is coming from. To see regrowth in 3 months is practically unheard of. I was one of the best responders that I know over the last 20-some-odd years, as far as seeing the cessation of my hair loss pretty rapidly within the first 3 months, and noticing hair growth or regrowth or reversal or miniaturization within about 6 months. That is fucking rare. Most people will notice if they catch it at the right time, when they're not at the cusp of an anagen or a telogen phase. If they're on the cusp of an anagen phase, that maybe they slow or stop the progression of their hair loss within 2 to 3 months. And that is pretty rare. That's lucky, and I was lucky. I have never, ever known anybody in the real world who's gotten visible regrowth in month 1, 2, or 3. I don't know if you have, Joe, but I mean, visible regrowth, that's a quarter of an inch of hair that has to sprout from nothing, essentially, from vellus hair, and be visible to the naked eye in 3 months. That's 99.9% of people. You have like a less than a 0.00001% chance of that happening.
It's really rare. Like in my own case, I didn't even notice my own crown improving until I went to see my doctor 9 months after I started taking the medication, and he had to point it out to me. And I also need to point out that while it wasn't discussed in the initial studies about hairline effectiveness with Propecia, in my experience, like face-to-face consultations with tens of thousands of people and having dealt with thousands of actual surgical patients, it doesn't do anything for the hairline for probably 50% of the people that take it. So if it's not thickening your hairline, it doesn't mean it's not working somewhere else. Like the rest of your hair might be maintained or maybe even stronger. If you don't have any noticeable hair loss, it still might be helping the hair in the mid-scalp, anterior mid-scalp, and crown. So at this point, the last thing I would recommend is to stop taking it. Not a doctor, but that it just... I know that it can be working and you just not realize it, because the last thing I would hate to have is for you to call us up in 6 months and say, yeah, I stopped taking it 4 months ago and my hairline receded and I'm starting to thin in the crown. I don't want a telogen effluvium to kick in because it was working and you stopped taking it.
Don't worry, I've been listening to you guys for a long time, and you have already ingrained the idea in my head that no matter what, you do not stop taking this drug if you do not have sexual side effects, what I was afraid of for 3 years. And it's like the best way I could describe it, and from my personal experience, is it's as if I've been taking a placebo this whole time. I noticed zero difference whatsoever sexually and zero difference whatsoever hair growth wise. So, but again, I know that's just like the noticeable part of it. I don't know. When I look at my hairline, it's very, very thin. I don't know if maybe the follicles there that used to be there are just straight up dead, and if finasteride can't bring dead follicles back to life, but maybe it's making the hair behind there and everywhere else thicker. I don't know, because I've never had any hair loss in the crown.
Well, here's what you could notice in time. A year from now, there's a chance that you're not going to be any worse. And if that were the case, would you be satisfied with the results? Because let me tell you, in 1994, when I first got on this drug, that was a fucking miracle. To be able to halt or slow the progression of your hair loss by taking a pill, and this is before it was approved by the FDA for hair loss, that was a fucking miracle. And that's what is interesting to me, is that young guys today are guys who didn't understand what it was like to deal with hair loss at the end of the 20th century when there was really nothing to help you. And then all of a sudden this pill came out.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
Godsend.
Yeah.
Godsend.
So would you be happy if you were able to just keep what you had and you knew that this pill was maintaining the hair that you have?
Of course, man. I mean, that's a lot better than the alternative.
Well said. So that is most likely. You have at least according to clinical data, and anecdotally, I think it's higher, at least an 86% chance of maintaining and reversing the miniaturization of your hair, your current situation, in the first 2 years of use.
And again, that right there, that number, the fact that that number is not 100 is what scares me. I wake up every day scared shitless. Am I one of the 14% that it's not going to help? And I was stupid. I didn't take any, in-depth pictures right when I first started taking the drug. Of course, back then, the only thing on my mind was, oh, my God, am I going to have the sexual side effects? Did I just sign my own death warrant by taking this?
Mm-hmm.
And so I have no way of comparing now to when I first started taking it. So I'm completely in the dark. And
how about styling your hair? I mean, do you notice any change? Do you notice that it's easier? Anything?
Well, oh no, I thought the same way that I did 9 months ago when I first started taking it, as in completely kind of just combing it forward like the Korean K-pop thing where they just kind of cover their forehead with their hair. That's the only thing I can do. I don't have the confidence to part it to the side, because then you'd see like what you do, Spencer. Then I just don't like how far up it goes like that. You know what I'm saying?
What are you saying? What do you mean? How dare you?
I wasn't touching that.
I don't have the courage to do what you do. How's that an insult, man?
I'm just fucking around with you. But I mean,
I know you.
A lesser man would say, "Why does it take courage to do what I do? What's wrong with me?" No, but I appreciate it, dude. And I'm just busting your balls and making you feel uncomfortable for the show. It's a radio show.
You got me. Yes,
but look, please try not to. You know, I always tell people this, and I'm a firm believer in it. And sometimes it's easier said than done. But worrying about something that hasn't occurred yet is just a waste of your present life.
Yeah.
Right now you still have hair in your head. Right now, you're still able to wear that K-pop style. Is that what it is, K-pop? Right now, you're able to kind of live your life, and you're being proactive about your hair loss. You have a choice.
Yeah,
you could think positive about it, and I'm being proactive. Let's see what happens. Or you can be negative, and you can think to yourself, "Fuck, what happens if it doesn't work?" It's like people could walk around all day and say, "Fuck, what happens if the fact that I'm eating a piece of cake every day is going to cause, diabetes, type 2 diabetes, or, anything, What happens if today's great, everything's good. What happens if I get cancer tomorrow? Shit could happen, man. That's how people live their lives. You wake up one day, everything's fine. You go to a routine doctor visit, and bingo, you have pancreatic cancer. You got 3 weeks to live.
You know what that means? Party!
Yeah. But so think about if you're worried about that particular disorder, that disease, for 10 years of your life or 5 years. This may happen to me. I never think of what if I'm not one of the lucky ones. I try to go to maybe I'll be one of the lucky ones. Maybe I'll be the guy that saves his hair. Maybe I will be Spence, who just sent a picture of his bald spot to Joe today. After
he did
at the age of 54, who, while my hair isn't terrific and it's a fucking sham, I still have enough hair to fucking. Yeah, it was unpainted. I still have the ability to pull off this sham, and it's because I was one of those lucky guys. In a very big percentage, almost 90% of us will do well. You don't get odds like that with any medication, man. You have a greater chance, or less of a chance of, how am I going to put this? Taking aspirin, you have a greater chance of having adverse side effects than you have with the finasteride. No one knows about that. And not everybody responds well to aspirin in general. You have a greater chance of positive response from finasteride than most drugs that are being sold today.
Yeah, you have actually a chance of dying from taking aspirin.
Yeah, anaphylactic shock.
Mm-hmm.
So there. What you should be concerned about is when you go out to the bars, if you should have bought that chick a drink or not. That's what you should be concerned about.
How old are you now?
27.
27, okay. What is your life like? How stressed are you every day about this shit?
Bro, it's like the number one thing that's stressing me out. This is how crazy it is. 2 Saturdays ago, I went out to some bars and had one of my best nights ever, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And like, you would think, and most guys would feel like, you know, a rock star, like on top of the world after that. I got this amazing new girl in my life, blah, blah, blah. But the very next day, I was afraid to go to the freaking grocery store because I didn't want people to see my receding hairline. Like that's like how big of an impact it has.
Well, I think you speaking about this, and you know, this content's going to get out there for public consumption through my Instagram and through when we're going to be updating the podcast. This story, you talking about it the way in which you do, it really speaks to the whole concept, which I get shit about for the last 20 some odd years, that hair loss, even for men, is a cancer of the spirit. It profoundly affects every aspect of our lives. And to this day, even in the media, people kind of make it like, well, what's the big deal? You know, why are some men unaffected by hair loss and others are affected by hair loss? And I try to tell these people in the media and the press that those who are unaffected by hair loss are the anomalies. We are the majority. The fact that I'm 54 years old, I'm going to be 55 if I'm lucky, and I still essentially camouflage my hair loss as best as I can, means that it affects us at all different ages. You know, it doesn't matter how old you are. You know, if you are a person that's affected by this, and most of us are, then it's very real to us, and it could be life-altering like it is to you. So my advice to you, kid, is really do your best to recognize that you are being proactive. You're in the first 3 months of treatment. Your odds are very fucking high that you're going to save your hair. Very high. For many years.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know, like, the odds are high, but the fact that they're not 100 still is what scares me. Now,
another way to look at this. Another way to look at this is that you don't have a 100% chance of not walking in front of a bus tomorrow. Like there are no guarantees in life except death and taxes. So I kind of get what you're talking about, but one way to maybe consider this your own personal situation. What makes your hairline different than the 4 billion other men out there that might also be concerned about the hairline? Like, you don't look like anyone, or you don't look different than anyone else out there as far as your hairline receding or maybe not being as strong as you want it to be. There are literally millions of men that are having hairline issues just like you, and they're all over the place. Like, you see them every day. So I understand why it's a self-conscious issue, but you share that same issue with 1 out of every 3 men that you see on the street. They've got some sort of hairline recession. So you're not unusual. You're not unique in that way, as far as it being a negative. Everyone has these issues.
But I want to make it clear that I completely relate to you as a young person. When I was your age, before I was able to get my hands on financial aid, when I was really fucking struggling. Now, I took the opposite approach. While I struggled internally, and I actually talked about it to people, I went out there and I just banged around, did whatever I could, and just tried to live life. That's when I was really drinking and shit, like, and partying, and you know, I had my own business already, so I had a lot of fucking free time, and I had money and all that shit. I just went for it. And it was almost like a game for me. Like, who's going to be attracted to me with this fucked up hair? And I would pull it off. So I understand, you know, you had a great night that night. I understand all that. And then the next day you kind of come to your senses after the booze is out of your system. Or the booze can be a slight depressant. But you come to your senses and you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, what the fuck? I can't deal with this, bro. And that's exactly why I do what I do. That's why I wrote my book. That's why I researched this industry and tried to essentially did expose it for what it was years ago. And that's why I stick around, because I'm you, man.
Yeah. Just one time looking, the negative, the net negative of just one time looking in the mirror the next day had a greater effect, was more powerful than the net positive of having my best night out ever. Isn't that just insane?
Well, you know what? It is insane, but you're not insane. Let's put it that way. This is the way that we feel. This is the way that we react to it. People used to say that I was overreacting all the time, that being depressed over your hair loss is such a waste of your time. I chose to turn my Achilles heel into my career because I didn't know anybody else who cared about it. You know, the internet didn't exist. Or if it did, it was just basically for email, and there was really nothing on the web. And, you know, I decided to create this platform for guys like me, and also women who are dealing with it. But still, years later, to this day, no matter how successful or how well known in this crazy world I am, or when people meet me and they find out what I do, or they Google me, and they're just like, they don't understand, like, so what do you do? It's like, you're like the hair club? You know, and I try to explain it, that, you know, we created this platform where both, you know, consumers and patients and people who are just dealing with hair loss can come and speak about an issue that society doesn't allow us to talk about, and that there are a lot of people suffering in silence, especially women. They're like, they look at you like you are out of your fucking mind. Until you try to explain to them, how would you feel if it was happening to you? And say things like, especially when I'm drinking, well, how about I just get a razor right now and shave off a 1/4 inch of your hairline? And you can walk around. It's going to grow back, but you can walk around like that for a year and see how you do in life.
I love that.
And they're like, well, I mean, I'm a woman. That would look really, you know, I couldn't do that. Like, why do you think men can do it? Because we're supposed to? Because society allows us to be bald? Fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
You're walking around in a mask of makeup. I can't do that. I mean, I guess I can, but I choose not to. You got fake tan, fake nails, you know, push-up bras, Spanx. Every woman who walks out of their house is wearing a fucking disguise, and we are looked at differently because we're concerned about our appearance eroding because of something that's genetic. Fuck you.
Like,
sorry.
It's actually a couple of months ago. I was out a different night out at this bar talking to this girl, and I was a stupid conversation, and we're talking about like how to like avoid the friend zone or something, and I asked her, how can I avoid the friend zone? She looked up at my forehead and she said, get a thicker hairline.
Oh my God, dude, that is
oh
so
my
fucked
God.
up. I don't advocate hitting. I don't advocate hitting women or anybody for that matter. I'm not a violent man, but it's very possible that would have crossed my mind for a second before I decided to order another drink.
Was it Dave Chappelle? And I'm not saying you should hit a woman.
Yeah,
but I understand.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely not.
I have similar stories. I had this chick who was in love with me, with my baseball cap on when I was a kid. This girl was all over my shit. And she asked me out. We went out once. I didn't wear my hat. And it really wasn't even that noticeable, but it was just the beginning of a recessed hairline. And she mentioned it to me. And I can tell that it affected her. Like, do I want to get involved if this guy's going to lose his hair in a year or 2 years?
Yep.
Now, I wasn't really hurt by it. I'd actually put more fire under my ass. And so I left her. This is a true story. I went to the bathroom. I don't know if I ever told Joe this story. I said, excuse me, I'll be right back. And it was a diner. It was a diner on 24th Street and 2nd Avenue, I think it was. And there was like a hallway that went around to another exit by the bathrooms. I left her there. Fucking left her with a bill. And I went to the bar, I went to the Raccoon Lodge. And I told that story to my friends. And that's how I dealt with it. Like, I'm not going to let you fucking destroy my fucking life because you think I'm going to be unattractive. But right now you think I'm attractive. So why don't you want to smash right now? Why is that a problem? Or why is that even a question in your mind? Like, why bring that up to somebody? Am I saying, looking at your tits and saying, you know, in 5 years your tits are going to shrink? You know that, right? They're going to get flabby and they're going to look like shit in 5 years. This is the best time of your life. Enjoy it, bitch. That wouldn't go across well. That wouldn't come over well or go over well.
It'd be riots in the streets if you said that.
You're damn right.
Yeah.
You know what? You girls who are 23, 20 or 19 to 25, this is the best time of your life. You better get yourself a man. Otherwise, it's going to be more difficult for you. Yeah. Listen, I know women who are my age that are fucking smoke shows.
Yeah.
But I will say that the majority of women, they lose that smell. There's a certain young smell. It could be having children. I don't know. But there's a certain smell. Is that terrible? I'm being honest. There's a certain youthful smell that these women lose once they get a certain age. Now, I happen to know somebody in my personal life who still has that smell. And I think it's possibly because they chose not to have children. But whatever it is, it's a pheromone thing or whatever it is. Especially like old Jewish chicks, like girls that I grew up with and went to Hebrew school with. I see them now. It's like, what the fuck happened to you? You were a smoke show.
He actually asked them that to their face.
Word for word.
So listen, kid, you know, I know that it's, and I hope you don't mind me calling you a kid because you're a kid to me. You're young enough to be my child. It's tough. It sucks. I relate to what you're doing, but going through. My advice to you is fucking concentrate on your career. Make fucking money. Know that you are a man and that there's a good chance that you're going to keep your hair because you're on this medication. Get in the gym. By the time you're 35 years old, you get your career set and you're driving the car that you want and you're living, you know, without being in fucking debt like these other schmucks, you're going to be the go-to guy for all these hot girls. Trust me on that.
That's right.
Trust me.
Yeah, man, it's going really well other than the freaking hair loss. But you, so ultimately, you answered my question, which was, do you need to see noticeable change on the hairline with finasteride in order to know whether it's working or not? It sounds like the answer is no.
Absolutely not. 100% negative. All right,
well,
dude?
that is good.
Listen, call us anytime. We're on live every Friday. This is, you know, we're here to help. And don't be concerned that you've already asked a question or if you sound neurotic. I am Mr. Neuroses. I totally understand it. All right, man?
We get people that call in and ask the same question over and over again, James from Texas, and it's okay. It's all right. We love it when you call, so please call back.
I had a guy from Staten Island, Joe from Staten Island, that said the same thing every fucking week.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? I was told not to allow him to, when I was on the radio, why do you keep taking this guy's call? And like, there's a part of Joe in all of us. How can I not take his call?
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. Listen, good luck to you, all right?
Thank you so much, guys. God bless.
You got it, man.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye-bye. So, Joe, we started late. I don't know what your schedule is like.
I'm good. Yeah, let's go at least another half hour.
I am ruthless, though, I have to admit. I mean, when I think back, I was pretty fucking ruthless. I mean, I definitely I put up that shield, and I was just like, you're going to judge me, bitch? That doesn't happen in my world.
Not here.
I'm not saying that's a great way to be, but you got to protect yourself in some way if the world is going to judge you for something you have very little, at least at the time, no control over.
Yeah.
I'm not telling girls to fix their teeth. I'm not telling them to, go and get breast implants.
But there are assholes out there that do.
Very few.
To their face. Yeah.
Women will talk about a guy's hair loss like they're off the fucking table.
Yep. Yeah, no, 100%.
No one's saying that to Mr. Bezos, though. I'll tell you that.
Exactly. Yeah, he's set.
Let me tell you something. I'm okay. I'm not too bad on the eyes, I guess. I'm all right. But I went up I don't know, I guess you can't go up 6 points. At least 4 points when I started to do something with my life. And that is the truth. As long as you are good looking enough, you're in good enough shape, and you're fucking crushing it in whatever you do in life, you're the sexiest man alive.
That's right.
At least in the room. Let's see who this is.
At least in the bar. Yeah.
Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Patricio.
Patricio, how are you, man?
Hey, Patricio.
Hey,
you're calling from Honduras?
What's going on, friend? I'm from Honduras. No, I'm calling from St. Louis.
Oh, I thought you said you're calling from Honduras, which would be great.
Yeah, that'll be great. But not this time. I wish. Can you guys hear me well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, Joe, would you mind just reminding Spence a little bit of my story better than anyone else?
No, you do it. You're the one that called. You do it.
Okay, cool. So yesterday was my first year anniversary of my first FUT with Dr. Arocha.
Yep.
Mazel tov.
Yep. Bonadito Arocha.
So, in Texas. So, basically, I think, and I like to believe that I am one of the patients that actually did the research and took the time to, take the decision on going to surgery for this reason. And 1 year later, I feel good. I feel good with the result. I am just a very positive person anyway. So what I see is it's good. I know because I met Joe before, and
I'm sorry, dude.
Hey, he got free lunch. He got free lunch out of it. So
I got free lunch. Yeah. And it was the way I took it after talking to a guy who had so many surgeries and have been involved in the industry for you guys have been in the industry for forever. I said sort of like a life strategy, just for myself, and I know that if by now after a year of my first surgery, I was expecting to have a head full of hair, then there was no point. That was never going to happen. And I knew that when I went for the first surgery. I knew that.
Explain your hair loss situation before you continue.
Oh man, I don't remember. I don't remember what's the scale called again?
The Norwood scale.
Norwood scale?
Scale, but Norwood, yeah. I think I was a diffuse 6. Is that right?
6. Yes. Yeah, diffuse 6.
Diffuse 6. So right now, my first FUT was around 3,500 in the front.
Yep.
Which, just the surgery itself, during those hours, honestly, guys, I didn't believe it until I actually experienced it. Not much pain, not just a little bit. for what it actually is, then no pain. You know, it's an actual surgery. So
yeah.
Maybe I felt some pain the same day after going back to the hotel. Next day, uncomfort. But then after the first week, I was fine. First week or two. So everything is going fine, actually. Like, I just wanted to call just because it's my first year anniversary. You know?
Well, listen.
Congratulations.
So did you have it on? I guess Valentine's Day was a different day, probably, but was it? Oh, actually, it's the same date. What am I, an idiot? So you had it on Valentine's Day last year.
I had it a year. A day prior to Valentine's Day.
So it was on Valentine's Day.
It was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
It was yesterday.
Oh, it was yesterday. Okay.
Yesterday, yeah.
So how's your life been? How's your life now? Now that you have more hair, and you know that you don't have a completely full head of hair, but you have more hair. How are you doing?
Emotionally, it feels better.
That's great.
When you wake up, and
that's what it's about.
After you take a shower, and you see yourself in the mirror, and you're like, okay, fuck, this thing is working. Okay, you know, but like it wasn't like that until like maybe 2 months ago. You know, that's something that I just want to put it out there for people who are also thinking about like having some of these procedures. Like at the beginning, I didn't see anything, but I knew I wasn't gonna see anything. Like I did my research, I talked to many people because I knew I will spend a lot of money for a 28-year-old kid. It's a lot of money, you know. It's a lot of money for me. But like,
of course,
I did my due diligence and like talked to many different people, and I knew that it wasn't gonna be noticeable until I don't know, like after the first 9 months, 10 months. So now it feels. I noticed that it depends on the angle that I see my hair sometimes. So, like, for example, the best hair that I have is right when I come out of the shower. And I dry my hair, and that's perfectly fine. If I see my, if I take a selfie, but if I put the phone down, so like, you know, like my hair looks really good. If I put my phone
let me ask you this, but Patricio, sorry for interrupting, but let me ask you this. So you said something earlier about how if you were expecting a full head of hair, you'd be disappointed, but you knew not to. So tell everyone about your progression of where you started with your expectations and where you wound up with your expectations.
So
do you remember that?
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, I knew that I had to go for 2 surgeries. That's what I know. I knew that from day one. I knew that I had to be on finasteride, and I started finasteride a year prior to my surgery. So like, it's been like probably 3 years that I've been on finasteride, 3 plus. I take it every day.
Yeah,
man, and I don't see any sexual dysfunction, nothing. I see a good set of titties. I am hard. So everything.
Well put. Okay.
Fine with that. You know. So, but I knew that in my case, like my hair loss was an advanced hair loss. So I needed to go for a progression. You know, like I couldn't. Something that was recommended to me was not to go for like a 10,000 follicular unit transplant, FUT, but instead of that, going probably 3,000, then see how it goes, see how it looks like, then another 3,000, and probably then another 3,000, something like that, depending on like also the donor area. So I am soon, probably summer. I don't know exactly because I need to see the financial aspect of it too. But I will be having my second surgery. I've been in contact with Dr. Arocha, with Skype, have a FaceTime. And yeah, like I said, I'm a positive person. And I see, I see that it's helped me. Yeah, that's right. I try to keep a healthy lifestyle too, like you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah. What I like about your story, Patricio, is that you're the kind of patient that really takes the time and the effort to learn and research about what your options are. Because and I'll go ahead and tell the audience this: you were hopping on planes and flying to visit clinics for consultations.
Oh yeah.
And that was the exact commitment that helps to set you up for the potentially the best possible outcome. Because when you are in person with a doctor and you're having your consultation face to face, there are certain nuances and understandings that you can't get through a Skype consultation or an email consultation. When you're face to face, you've made that investment of time and money to put yourself in front of that doctor. You're going to get a lot more from it, and you're going to have a much stronger education about what will most likely be your best option and what kind of result that you can expect. And this is even in the case if you're told a complete line of bullshit by the doctor. If you've taken the time to go to these clinics, multiple clinics, and have these consultations, you'll be able to pick out the one person in that group that is selling you a false story. And so I'm really proud of you for that. And you eventually settled on Dr. Arocha, and that worked out for you, in my opinion, because you were so educated by the time you got to him. And I'd like to congratulate you on that. You made it through to the other end. You said something really important about not realizing your result until 2 months ago, which was at 10 months. And that is something I think a lot of patients need to be aware of, that you're not going to have your result at 4 months. You're not going to have your result at 6 months. So sit back and enjoy the ride, which is exactly what you did.
Correct. And thank you, Joe. And just letting you both know, like, I wouldn't be in this side of, the group if it wasn't for you two. You guys have provided so much helpful information, like, that it's so useful.
Look, we're the best, man. Come on, just say it. We are the best.
Yeah. It's for real, like, it's, I'm sorry, dude, this is, my hair was very important throughout my life. So, like, just the fact that I see positive effects now, it just means a lot to me, and I know it will mean a lot to future candidates who are, thinking on.
Well, you're welcome, my man. That's all I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really
absolutely.
I'm really glad that you found the show. I'm really glad that you found Joe. I'm really glad that we've been able to help, and Joe was able to help. Joe's frozen, and there he is.
Yeah.
And your call is important. I really appreciate the fact that you did call and you continue to update us. And for Christ's sake, happy anniversary, man.
Thank you. I will be calling you guys more often because, like, something that I did too is I started taking pictures after my surgery. Like, I was sharing this with my mom every Wednesday. I was taking a picture of the progression of my growth, and yeah, it's noticeable. Like, there is a before and after picture. When I went to Dr. Roch's office and now, something that was brought up to me, and I wanted to know you guys' opinion. Is
wait a second. Now you got a fucking question?
Now you got a question?
It's just something that I actually, when I did surgery, you guys, before doing the surgery, it wasn't brought up too often. I am a hairy dude. Like, I have hair test, and it was mentioned to me that I don't know how it's called, but like transplant the hair from different parts of my body, in this case my chest to my head. What are your thoughts on that?
Dude, live your life. Don't do it. Move on.
Right.
You still have more donor area for another surgery. Right now is probably not the time. You just talked about your anniversary, and you're gonna step back and.
Oh no, I'm not thinking about doing it right now. No, that's not part of the strategy. Like what I'm gonna do, the next step is the second FUT. I know that. Now in regards to like the amount of follicular units, I don't know. In regards to the cost, I don't know. I just know that it's gonna be with a large chef. He knows my case. I trust him. The details I have to figure that out.
Dude,
however,
your phone is your phone is kind of cutting off. I'm having trouble hearing. It's all right. It's okay. Listen, we might as well. That's a cue. We should take another call, and then we're going to call it a day. But yeah, I would just say, as far as body, if you could hear me, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
As far as body hair is concerned, there is some evidence that it can be beneficial for the right patient. Usually, it's reserved for repair patients or those who are extremely high in the Norwood scale, or have been stripped out, or have been FUE'd out. So it's something to put in your possible arsenal down in the future, but it's not even something that you should even, in my view, be worrying about until you decide how your second or third procedure turns out. All right, man, so call back. We're going to be around every week, and I'm happy anniversary.
I will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling, Patricio.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Yep. Let's do it. All right.
I'm exhausted. See who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Spence.
Yes.
What's going on, man?
Hey, man. Who's this?
Yeah, I called last week. Remember we had to do a phone call real quick? Steve AZ.
Hey, man.
Joe, did you end up... What up, man? So, did you end up getting that email I sent you?
I don't know. Sorry, what was your... Yeah.
Right after the show, I sent it because I watched the video, and we were rushing, so I wasn't able to say, oh, that was the wrong picture, or this was this picture, or whatever.
Yeah, I got it. I figured it out.
I don't know if you still had those pictures, but the one you put... the original one you put, I don't know if you could pull them up or whatever, but the original one you put up was good. Like when you said this is the before, and then when you said this is 3 months, that was like a month. And then the one you thought was 5 months was 3 months, actually. And then I could have sworn.
So anyone that watched last week's show, when you saw that 5 month result and you're like, holy shit, that was only 3 months. There we go. Problem solved. How's that?
There you go. Yeah, good enough. But no, I mean,
that's all it takes, man.
If there was the 5 month, it was the one with the white shirt. I'm not sure if you had gotten that picture, but I did send it. Sometimes they don't get every attachment. But
yeah, I don't remember if I put it up there. I do remember it coming in though. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
So, a couple of things I wanted to go over, but that one dude's call who's like 27. That was like when he said he had a girl who said, what did he say? She said,
He said, how do I avoid being in the friend zone?
Yeah, the old young.
She said, thicken that hairline.
Conversation.
Yeah.
Getting out of the friend zone. First of all, you never mention that shit. Don't even bring that up in conversation. Second, it's like you almost invite a shitty answer like that. That's the way women are. Like you show a tad bit of weakness, and they're gonna run right all over that shit.
They are fucking ruthless.
Yep.
They have to be.
And here's the thing: I've had good experiences in my life because I've avoided the bad ones, or I've like I said, like I did with this chick. It's like, this isn't going to happen. I'm not going to sit here and hate myself because of you, bitch. You're going to be paying this bill, and that was it.
Exactly. And standing one, because if you would have done, if you would have went to the bathroom, and you would have sat. Let's say you went to the bathroom, where you probably just left, but let's say you did.
No, I went to the bathroom. I was actually thinking about what I was.
If you would have contemplated, maybe I should go back and I could try to get my way in there, and then I win. No, fuck that. Like you'd have went back and you'd have felt like a bitch the whole time.
You know, this is going to sound obnoxious, but this girl was like maybe. I mean, she was good looking, but she was maybe like a 7, a New York 7. And I'm thinking to myself,
that's pretty good looking.
Yeah, but I'm thinking to myself, you got to fucking, you got to catch here, man. Like I've already had my own business. I was really young, and I felt pretty attractive, even though I was dealing with hair loss. And I was like, fuck you, and that was my attitude.
How old is she? Early 20s.
She was about 23. 23. Yeah, she was Irish.
Yeah,
Irish.
I mean, I'm white as well, so I'm not like, I guess it's racist most itself.
Why can't we say white?
What?
Or black, or Hispanic, or fucking Jewish?
Yeah, well, because that's the first thing someone's going to say, right? So,
I know, it's sad.
I just say I'm pigment challenged.
But I will, right? But I will say, and I was having this conversation with my brother not long ago. Newly single, newly getting back out there. Good thing I've been getting my hair back, otherwise it'd be cat slave it is. But anyway, so
there you go.
I will say though, and this probably goes any age, but especially, like, remember you were saying 19 to 25?
Yeah.
You take that age, like, especially if she's good looking, a good looking girl, like, first of all, they don't know anything. They don't even know how to open the door, because all the door handles have been fucking, open for them.
Yeah.
At that age, they don't know shit. They don't even know that they don't know anything yet. But second, and I don't, maybe it's just my experience. I mean, I've dated a lot, and I don't know if you guys have noticed the same thing or maybe not. But I have noticed, maybe it's the country we're in, the good-looking white girl, herself, like the value of what she's got going on downstairs, she thinks that it is fucking platinum. Like, I've never seen a sense of entitlement and overinflated ego, and even just being like, everybody looks in the mirror, just being like objective and going, I'd like to think I'm a male model and I'm 6'2" and ripped and I got multi-millionaire, but I'm not. So this is realistically what it is.
But I'm not.
A white girl who's a 5, who's 22, fuck that, she's an 8, a 9 maybe in her mind.
Yeah.
That's why they'll have the gall. And I bet you that guy, if you said the hairline thing, I bet she was too. I'll bet a small wager that she was.
This is going to be very criticized information and possible advice that I'm giving. And if there's any women,
it's my personal experience.
But if there's any women out there who are listening, this is going to be very controversial. And a lot of guys are going to be like, "What? If you want to date somebody in that age pool, or you want to screw around with somebody in that age pool, go to the strip club." Because these women have a unique mindset and experience about what people are like. And they actually learn to see guys for who they are because they deal with so many assholes in their world that they appreciate a decent dude who may have a receding hairline but has some success in life and all that stuff. It's a different fucking mindset. I know it seems bizarre, but I can tell you from younger experience that when I would date strippers back in the day, the hairline comment never happened. Basically, they didn't even look at my hair. So you figure that one out. But I think it's because they have a different experience with men. Everyone's silent. Everyone is fucking silent.
No, I'm just waiting for you to continue.
Stripper? Come on.
Who hasn't?
What kind of kids are you?
Right? But no, I would say, I mean, like, for me,
that just landed like a lead balloon, my man. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you guys looking at the chat or something? Because I'm not right now.
No. Go ahead.
But no, I mean, for me, all that, like, we were talking about the over and self-inflated and all that, like, my ex, who I have a daughter with, it definitely had that going on, although she was actually good looking, so it was even worse. But, of course, she mentioned the hairline thing. I was with her, and my hair wasn't even that bad at the time. This is, 10 years ago. It wasn't, it was okay. And I remember she was, like, saying something about hair, and I knew it was, not great, but it was feasible. And I was like, at least I'm holding on to it a little bit for, something for a white guy. And she was like, not even just to appease me, say, yeah, it's all right, like, or say nothing. She goes, oh, you got thin spots right here and right here and right here.
Oh, shit.
Fucking brutal, man.
She did it.
Right? No, it was before that. I was worrying about this shit since I was 20. But, I mean, it stands to reason, though. In a roundabout sense, they're bitches. You know? That's the way it is.
Well,
like, they got me.
I think it's societal. It's societal as well.
Finasteride and rubbing minoxidil in my head twice a day. You know, just to try to keep this hair in my head or get some back. Luckily enough, you know, I'm in a fortunate enough position where I actually have gotten quite a bit back to where if I put, you know, even if I don't, but especially if I put a little derm match in, it's pretty much more or less like I was in the bottom 30%, you know, before for my age. Now I'm in probably the top 30%, so more or less imperceptible. I mean, shit, I even went out to the bar last week, and I was meeting my friend out, and I decided to go a little early, you know, just check it out, see what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Lay the land.
Myself, the first time. Oh, yeah. The first time, yeah, without him, because he's what you might call a hater. Like, you'll go out with this dude, and he's your friend where you're like, man, it's like 8 o'clock. I got nobody else to go out with.
Yeah.
Let me.
It's like when Joe calls me.
I don't mind him. Yeah, and I don't mind him. Like, hey, if I see him at the gym, or if I'm like, you want to hang out or whatever. But when we go out to the bar, he's the type of guy who must have all the attention. So he thinks if he's just going to talk louder than you, even it's not a competition, motherfucker. There's a bunch of girls.
No, it is. It is a competition.
In his mind, it absolutely is.
Yeah.
Like it's such a competition to him. I will let because I'm just like, whatever, man. Like, I wasn't even going to go outside, the last second thing, house money. I'll let him have first crack at the girl. And if this
I know someone like that quite well, actually.
Dude, and he's in his 60s.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well,
hold on. This is what's interesting. Your levels are coming through so high on my board, and I had to turn it all the way down. I mean, not on my board, on the vMix. I had to turn it all the way down, and I could barely hear you. But I think caller, you're able to hear him, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
It's me.
Yeah.
It's all me.
It's all you, man.
I mean, he's a little light, but I can't hear him. I can hear Spence. I can hear you a little better, maybe like.
Thanks. I've been working out.
But I was, it's funny. I was thinking the exact same dude, Joe.
Yeah, I know you were, because how can you not like?
Everything's a fucking competition, man. Everything is a competition.
Yeah.
This dude.
We have
the same thing. Like we go out, and there's been many times where I let him have first crack. I'm like, first of all, like he likes to go after low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's just like we're talking about. This might be controversial. She's 34, 35 years old, a little old for me. You could see
terrible.
You were talking about those kids look like pancakes by now, just like you were talking about before.
Yeah.
She not too much gas left in this tank. She's definitely on E. And so he sees that, and maybe her and her friend.
Not too much gas left in the tank. That's fucking. Oh my god.
Anyway,
so bad.
Wants to go after something like that. So, like for me, I'm like, hey,
something like that. God bless you.
Have at it. But for me, I'd rather at least if not go big, like at least go decent or go home. Like he just rather would just go home with anything. But on the rare occasion where you actually will talk to a decent looking girl, she's not having it and wants to come over and talk to me afterwards. Maybe we're hitting off even a little bit. He's the first one. Hey, dude, I'm going to get going. I'm just going to check out. I'm going to check out my tab right now. And I'm like, dude, it's like 11. You got here 20 minutes ago. It's like that.
Dude, there's a lot of guys, a lot of dudes a lot of dudes like that in this world, man. And you know what? You just got to tolerate them. Who gives a fuck? You got to laugh at it like we are right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean that's
just remember that these experiences lead to great times of storytelling when you call into a hair loss show.
Yeah, he just said that's the point of the story.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly why I tell it.
Yeah.
Because to me,
Yeah.
it's not. It doesn't mean much. But let's say if I don't, but it does a little bit. Let's say if I'm not into that girl, like 5 minutes later, or whatever. Maybe she's not into me. Like now he's gone, and I got here 20 minutes ago. My friend bailed because, he got fucking. I don't want to say it, but he got upset because something didn't go his way.
Yeah, and
But,
maybe you were getting
Anyway,
you were
I
getting a
showed
little
up.
more attention.
Yeah, exactly. And what's worse about that is that I let him have first crack and he knew it, and it still didn't work out. But anyway, so I show up before he gets there because I realize annoyance is coming, my near future. But if I can get 1 or 2 drinks in me, it'll make it a little easier to stomach. So I'm sitting at the bar and
Sounds like marriage.
A couple of young girls, like probably 22, 23, come up behind me and they're like, "Oh, excuse me," and they're thinking like, remember, I'm not used to this like having hair thing, and they're thinking, "Excuse me, old man, I'm trying to sneak in here and get a drink real quick, out of our way," and I was like, "Oh, okay," and they're like, "Oh, I gotta say, you look just like this guy on the show, Lock and Key." I was like, and I've never seen the show before. I guess some Netflix show or something. And they showed me some picture of some guy with like some like kind of slick back hairdo, and I'm like, damn, that's the first time in I'm fucking 37, so at least 17, maybe 18 years that I've had a compliment that was in some sort of any even obscure relationship to my hair. First time.
That's a good
pretty
feeling.
much ever.
That's good.
Excuse me. I choked on water. That's a good feeling, man.
It was. I almost started laughing because I was like, fuck, 3 months ago it would have been a repellent. Now it's working for me,
Very good.
And
I get people telling me I look all types of like. If you actually put a picture of me next to them, you'd be like, "What the fuck?" But there's some sort of weird resemblance, and I'm just like, "All right, what ugly motherfucker are you gonna say I look like now?" I get it all the fucking time,
That's just hilarious.
But at least you got something good. I once got the guy from the fat dude from Harry Potter. Just saying. It's all about the eyes and the hair, I guess.
It's all about the eyes and the hair.
Yeah.
Oh, good stuff.
yeah, I mean that was the first. Actually, unbelievably, I got a second one from someone else later. And of course, my friend about freaked out over it. So later on, some girl walks up. Well, not girl. This lady was. She had a few years on her, but she still would look pretty good. She's probably like in her early 40s, but you could tell she actually like took care of herself. She still looked pretty solid.
Let me tell you, that's a good age, man. You'll find out. That's a good age.
It's not bad and it's quick. Like I remember almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I was dating girls like that. But
I think early 40s is really prime. When I was younger, I didn't recognize that, but if someone is well maintained in their early 40s, shit, you got the world with a woman like that.
On the off chance that they haven't had kids, then it could be.
It's huge.
Then they could still look really, really good.
Well, and also they've been through so much in life. They're not interested in the nonsense and the bullshit. They know what they want.
Yeah.
They really do, for the most part, even though they're still women. That's a terrible thing to say. They know what they want.
No, it's not. It's accurate.
And sex is good, It's really fucking good. So
yeah, and most of the time they're not fucking around. I mean, sometimes a little bit, they might want you to wait a date or two, which is about the max I'll wait, period, 40 or 20. But just because they want to, they're thinking about they want a relationship, they don't want you to just get it first night because they know how that goes.
Right.
But no, I know what you're talking about. So this woman, she comes up, and she says I look like Mark Wahlberg from Daddy's Home. We had the hair slicked back in that movie. I don't know if you guys saw it.
Okay.
And I was like, damn, another plus.
Yeah.
And I just said thanks, whatever, and I talked to her for a second. My friend jumps in. Motherfucker's on the same shit that I am.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I don't care that he said it because as long as it's there, they don't give a shit.
Oh, wait a second. You're going to tell me a story that this guy actually said that you're balding and that happened to me, bro.
No. Not that I'm balding or whatever it is. That I was Now, most girls would look at my hair, especially in a bar setting where you can't see light go through it, and they wouldn't think I was balding at all.
Right.
So he chimes in from to my right now. She's to my left. And he just acts like nothing. And he goes, oh, yeah, because he's on finasteride. And I was like, oh, my God. Like, you bitch. You know what I mean?
I had a guy, and this is a kid that I grew up with. Now he lives on the West Coast, too, now. But I was about 27 or 26 or 27. He was a bouncer at a bar. I used to frequent a lot. And he's a kid that I grew up with. He ended up in the neighborhood working at the local bar as a bouncer. And he had this thing with me for years. So this girl was chatting me up, and I had already exposed to him that I was dealing, and confided in him that I was dealing with hair loss for like the last 5 years or whatever. Maybe I was 25 or 26. He didn't like the fact, and this girl was, at the time, no doubt she was a smoke show. I would say clear, and I hate to give numbers to chicks, but we were dealing with New York and LA, like a 7.5 New York, very sophisticated, beautiful broad.
Yeah, you don't have to say New York or LA, because, like, you know how guys go, you'll have friends tell you, oh, man, I just got with this one, she was hot. And you see even the pictures, which you know are the best versions, absolutely possible. And you're like, I can tell she's a 5.
Right.
Like 4.5, maybe. Like, I know what a 7 is.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
The ones that think it helps when they hold the camera up at an angle so that the selfie camera is down on them, it makes them lose 20 pounds.
Skyscraper. Exactly.
Yeah.
The beauty face is up to 8 on the application. It looks like goddamn oil painting.
It's so fucking funny, man. I see these pictures on Facebook. I'm like, what are these people doing? So anyway, long story short, exact same thing. But he actually said, his exact words were, why are you talking to this guy? I'm his friend.
Yeah.
He's going bald. Now, he had a couple of drinks, and I think he may have been on blow. But it was really fucked up. And I was just like, I didn't even act like I was angry, but I spoke to him the next day, and I kind of laughed it off, and, whatever. I ended up with this girl. But I'm like, I told him the next day, I said, listen, dude, that was really fucked up. And he's like, why? You talk about going bald all the time. Yeah, I said, yeah, I don't advertise it to girls who want to hook up with me.
Yeah, and he said it as an insult, like, oh, he's going bald. And then if she would have came and said, really? Oh, he talks about it all the time. That would have been the next fucking thing he would have said.
100%.
Just to try to shit on you, to make you look more self-conscious, even if you were.
But I admired this girl because she didn't even skip a beat. She kind of thought it was like a really weird thing for this guy to say, and she kind of like had this awkward laugh, like this giggle, but just kept talking to me. So that happened. People are fucked up, man. People are just
really
fucked up.
Everybody's got a friend or maybe even two that they will do that, right? Like, so he says that to her, and she he said it really fucking loud, too. Like, it wasn't like he was playing with me, like he said it loud because he wanted to get in on the conversation, of course. I saw exactly what he was doing. And she's like, oh, what's finasteride? Like, looked at me and asked me. And I'm thinking, like, this motherfucker's going to make me fucking get into this.
Yeah.
And I said, shit, a few months ago, my hair looked like his. I said, here, take that hat off. And
really?
Great, man.
There you go.
And
there you go.
His hair's trash. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah. Well, he deserved it.
I kind of made a joke out of it. We kind of played around with it for a little bit, and it shut him up. But he was hoping it wouldn't. He was hoping I'd buckle, because he knows it bothers me. Or, not as much anymore, but would bother me. I mean, like, to be honest with you, outside of the rare thing where, I mean, you guys would remember a conversation when we talked about it months ago, that I would go out just to see what somebody, how my reception with women would be with my hair out, as it were. Not good.
Yeah.
But with the hat on, I was fucking pimping. You know what I mean? Like, I had girls everywhere because they didn't know. Only a couple suspect girls here and there, and even the ones that were into it, women noticed every little fucking thing. They knew.
Of course they do.
You know what I mean? Even though I don't look that old, like, they know it, and they know I might be losing my hair. That's why, probably why you're wearing a hat. And so they know that shit. And even if they do, like, talk to you and everything, that's in their mind. And so once in a while, one would say it.
Well, there's this whole thing that people write about on I saw a Huffington Post article, and it's called hat fishing. When guys wear hats on their social media, dating sites, and women actually coined the term hat fishing.
Yeah.
Like
they're
they're
do with like a weird big head too, though.
Yeah,
Know what I mean?
but whatever it is, it's like it's a negative in there. Like, don't take your images for dating sites with a hat on. Well, why is that? Because you want to judge the person on their hair or lack thereof. It's fucked up. The guy wants to wear a hat. Let him wear a fucking hat. You know what? Why don't you take a dating picture on a dating site
without your
any
clown
fucking
makeup on,
or your fucking fake eyebrows?
Right, and with Flopsy and Mopsy out with a white shirt on, so I can see them.
Yeah,
I want to see how far down they go. You know what I mean?
Yep. Do you know what dating sites would look like if the majority of women had no makeup on? They wouldn't exist.
Yeah, I was going to say empty.
Yeah.
Because why would a guy go on there? You know what I mean? I could put a fucking wig on and shave my face and make myself look pretty fucking good. You know what I'm saying? Like, anybody can. The fucking filters they have, all that shit. I mean, I could...
Oh, yeah.
You could make yourself look like you have hair. Like, I remember there was this one application that had, it was for some reason, like, it made everything look dark. And my trash hair, before I took finasteride, this shit looked full. I could have put, like, pictures on there like that. And then show up with just a hat on. Like, oh, yeah, I'm just wearing a hat tonight.
Sure.
But, like, I never went through great lengths or anything like that. And when I was doing, like, internet, which was years ago, I maybe put like one picture with a hat on, and then my hair was just regular. It was passable. But I mean, even speaking of which, like, what we got, Valentine's Day today? You said everyone's lonely. No, I mean, not today. I actually got I got a couple lined up. I'm not sure which one I want to go on, but I don't know what it is with me. I don't know about you guys, but I always had like a thing for Asian girls. I don't know what it is.
Oh, come on.
I'm not allowed to speak to that.
No, okay. I got you.
But before I got married, most of the women I'd go out with were Asian. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
In fact, my wife is half Asian, so.
There you go. And I got, like, if you look at like all those little applications I'm on, I have like a harem of Asian girls. I get both of them tonight are Asian that I'm allegedly.
Well, I would say tonight, if you like dive
allegedly,
bars, tonight is a great night to go out to the bar because these chicks are fucking sad, man.
Even one of my jerk off friend, I take them with me. You know what I mean? Like, no amount of hate will stop them tonight. You know, single girls they're annoyed because their friends have got a boyfriend and everything else. And, you know, that's why they're going out.
That's right.
But
that's right.
That's probably why it was easy for me to set up two, and then tomorrow set up one for sure, and I'm picking between, which one.
They're going out with each other. They're having galentines. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, that makes it even easier. No, one of them actually is. One of them
saddened times.
Waiting for me to. You should have got off the pot. And the other one is telling me she's going out with a friend, and I guess she lives pretty close to me. Yeah, she's pretty good. Going out with her friend, and they're just going out tonight. She's like, her friend's Asian too. She's like, do you want to meet us both out? And I was like, man.
Uh-oh.
That would be...
Well, do me a favor.
I mean, both of them.
For a grand slam
let me know how that goes. Listen, it's fucking Valentine's Day. With the right amount of alcohol, not saying that I approve of this or condone this in any way, but anything could happen, man.
Yeah. No, if it did, I will call back up and brag about it.
Well, I would like to know about
pics
that.
or it didn't happen.
And I would like to live through you vicariously, my man. So, all right, listen, we're going to go.
Yeah,
all right. You take care. Thanks for the call.
Thanks for calling, Steve.
Bye-bye.
All right, later, man. Bye.
What are we doing, Joe?
One more. Let's do it.
Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is JP. Can you guys hear me fine?
JP, we hear you fine. Can you hear us?
What up,
fine?
JP?
Hey, I hear you. I hear you guys just good. Perfect. Actually,
very good.
I live in Colombia, but I'm in New York right now visiting family. But I still
okay.
hear you guys in Colombia.
Very cool.
Definitely do.
We have a lot of fans in Colombia, apparently.
Excuse me?
We have a lot of fans in Colombia.
Oh yeah, a lot of fans out there. Definitely, I talk to you about you guys to my family members there. They listen with me once in a while.
I appreciate
my cousins, especially. Yeah, I mean, Colombia, there's a lot of beautiful women out there. So you're right.
Yeah.
So if you have money out there, no problems finding girls at all. No problem, especially in Colombia. But,
if you're a gringo, forget about it, man.
Oh no, yeah, forget about it. Forget about it. Especially if you're like 6'2", because there's a lot of short men out there. Thank God I'm 6'2", but I do wear a baldy. But there's no problem. The problem I see though is that usually it's like, she's just with you because of your money, right? Not because of your look. I mean, if I wear like the previous caller, he wears a cap. When I wear a cap, no problem at all. Pick up girls fine. I have no problem picking up Asian girls or white girls. Nothing like that, But with a baldy, no problem picking up Latinas or black girls. I have no problems with that. It's just when I rock a baldy, I come to New York. White girls do not look at me twice, or Asian girls.
How old are you?
Really?
Yeah. I'm 44, but I look pretty young for 44. I probably look 35. People think I'm 34 all the time.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm blessed like that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Well, listen,
Yeah.
that's reality, and that is the dating world, sadly. And we should do a dating show, bald guy dating show.
I mean,
the good news is your height also helps.
Yeah, that's true.
It does.
I mean, you're right.
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. But you guys are right. I mean, the reason most people, men, and to be honest, the reason you want to not be bald is to get girls. It also helps you, believe it or not, it helps you with your career too, also. Because when you're a good-looking guy with, good amount of hair, you'll get jobs. People would, look at you differently or talk to you differently than if you're not,
There is this credit commercial for credit score website or service. And this was out years ago. You could probably find it online. And I forgot what the company is. But essentially, they had 3 actors, 2 of which or whom looked like male models, and they both had over 750 credit scores. And then the one guy who had 540 on his chest was a short, slightly chubby, complete Norwood. And that was the fucking loser. They had to throw in the hair loss too.
Yeah.
And poor Pastor couldn't even get a hair transplant because it's so expensive.
He had shitty credit. He couldn't do anything.
He had shitty credit. Yeah. He couldn't finance it.
Oh man. So that's what I wanted to talk about. About how important I think. I mean, if I could tell you about my hair loss history, I started losing my hair when I was 23, 24. I used to love wearing my hair long, right? So at that time, it's a long time ago, they didn't really have finasteride out. I mean, the viewers calling now, those young guys right now at 27, I'm at the bar picking up these girls and that. You guys are so lucky you got finasteride. So lucky.
Dude, imagine starting to lose your hair in 1987.
Imagine that.
I did. I can't imagine. That was me.
He doesn't have to. He was there.
Yeah. And then you look online and you see these people walking the street with plugs in their hair. And obviously, that's an awful hair transplant in those days as well. So,
sure.
You had no choice. And I'm glad, Spencer, you did your research and you created this because it's giving all these young guys hope, and giving them something to look forward to. You know how bad it was for me to wake up knowing that each day I was just more bold than the day before. It was awful.
Dude.
But in time,
Jack Daniels became my best friend, man. Tell me about it. It was fucking bad.
Yeah. But you grow out of it. I remember I must have been 30. I was you eventually get used to it, and I shaved it off. Was fine, baldy. I still got girls at 30. You're at that age. 28, 29. You're at that age where some guys could rock baldies. Nice. Some guys you don't have the head for it. I'm sorry. But there's a lot of people out there, a lot of guys that are at that young age with a baldy, you can still pick up girls. No problem, right? But then once you hit 35 and 40, forget it. I don't care how you look. At 40, you will not look good with a baldy. You won't. And I did. I
think it depends on the person. For sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. Look, the way that you carry yourself, if you have the height, if you have a decent build about you, if you carry yourself with confidence, then that does make up for a lot of the shortcomings that people perceive comes with hair loss, even at 40. What you're talking about, you're absolutely correct in the fact that, if you do have extensive hair loss at I don't want to say an older age, but we'll say middle age or early middle age, it is more difficult, but only on the surface, on the initial impressions. Once women see a guy that may have less hair than they want, but is put together pretty well, dressed well, looks like they're confident in their presentation, that changes everything. It really does.
Oh,
and
of course. I mean, and like Spencer, he brought up a good point in the past. It helps that like at that age you're already successful. You could afford to look good and take care of yourself and buy nice clothes that will give you that confidence. Because you could be the ugliest. I mean, right? I don't know if I can curse, but you could be the ugliest motherfucker out there. But if you carry yourself with confidence, you'll do great. I mean, of course, if you have a full set of hair, you probably do a lot better. But I mean, you'll do great. You won't. You'll get some 6 and 7s, but not the 9s and 10s out there. Believe me, Colombia is 9s and 10s out here.
Let me tell you something. If I was out there and trying to meet somebody again, I don't know if I would. I live in I work in a very interesting area. And it really is about looks and money and cars and shit like that. And, it kind of, as you get older, it's a little easier, especially if a guy's successful and women look at you differently. But I'd probably go for like a Colombian chick or some shit. I would definitely probably consider someone who is not born and raised here in the United States. They just seem more reasonable.
Yeah. But the thing is, in Colombia, the way the girls, I mean, I'm Colombian, right? So any Colombian will tell you this. That society is very machismo. I mean, unfortunately, and it's true, unfortunately, the women in Colombia don't have the same, opportunities that women here in the United States have.
Right.
In terms of jobs.
Right.
In terms of what, there still is a glass ceiling and it's very low in Colombia.
Right.
So they already raised from a very young age that they have to look hot to get a guy with money. So they're already in their mind that if you want to be able to support yourself in the future and have kids, you have to find a guy with money.
I'm in.
So in Colombia, they don't really look for guys for looks. I mean, it helps. They really look for guys in their pockets. And that's the sad truth about Colombia. I mean,
but that's not necessarily sad truth. That is evolution, man. That is how it's always been.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, since the beginning of time, the provider, right?
Right.
I mean, in
that's what they're looking for.
Now because it's changing. Women are now making the same or more than men at this point and have more opportunities, if not the same, as men. I mean, it's getting there.
Let me tell you something. It changes only in the narrative that you hear about online or like on the news and stuff. I don't care how successful a woman is. She's going to be looking at a guy, and she will be looking at those parameters as indicators of his compatibility with her. Doesn't matter what they like. It's such a shallow issue. You hear about it. It's talked about, but when it comes down to nuts and bolts, they're still looking for the same things that women in other countries are looking at. No question.
And eventually women who have done well for themselves, and there's obviously plenty out there, it's, like you said, it's very common, and this, it's a new world, which is great,
Yeah.
That sounds totally like old school misogynistic, but it's not. Not misogynistic, but what's the word, Joe?
I don't know.
Well, anyway.
Broads?
Anyway, if you're involved with a woman who, say, is an attorney or a physician, whatever it is, they'll split the check, or they want to pay for things, or they may pay for a vacation here and there. But if it becomes a regular thing, they're not too happy about that.
Yeah,
No.
that's true.
You know? So basically, it's like, with men, it's like, your money is our money. With women, in their minds, is my money is my money, and sometimes I'll share it with you.
It's so true.
Or it can be, my money is my money, and your money is my money. Get
Right.
used to it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, the majority of the women are like that. I mean, there is a small percentage that are not like that. But, you know.
If I were to take out a physician right now, and we were at an expensive restaurant, if I did not pay for that bill, it's possible that I would be crossed off her fucking list. You know? You don't go Dutch with anybody, no matter how much money they have.
Maybe they'll pay for you, you know, Spencer. You got some looks on you.
Well, I appreciate that. And, you know, I don't care how good-looking you think people are or whatever. In the end, women are embittered by that. They do not think that it's gentlemanlike or that it, you know. But here's what's interesting, and I'm all for it. Listen, I'm probably the biggest feminist out there. I believe in complete equal rights on every level. But when you when you actually say, "Hey, look, you know what? Let's do it. Let's split everything down the line. Let's do." Oh no, that doesn't fucking fly. No matter how evolved these women claim to be.
I agree, and the thing is, I think, believe it or not, women are worse off than guys when it comes to balding. Yeah, you know, they could wear wigs, and you know they may wear extensions, but you know. Even with a woman, if she has a wig on but she's bald, that's usually a no for a guy. They'll be like, oh, you know, I mean, yeah, you have a wig, you look hot now, but I'm going to see you eventually in bed with your wig off. You know, so I think women have it.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
I would say that there's a lot of women out there, you know, and they may tell you that they're wearing hair, but you'll never see them without their hair on.
Yeah, I mean, but they're out there, and even, as a matter of fact, even for hair transplant, most women, their type of hair, the type of balding that they have, is not suitable for hair transplant.
The sad part about women with hair loss is that they are extremely vulnerable, and you know, as guys are. But these surgeons out there, these guys, especially the larger chain clinics and the guys that you see advertising on Instagram and really pimping themselves out, they are really focusing on women now. And the truth is, less than 5% of women dealing with hair loss make even reasonable candidates for hair transplant surgery.
Yeah,
it's that low.
And, I mean, they may have great donor hair, but it's just the pattern of their baldness. It's not viable. I mean, they have to have that type of male frontal type of.
And you know what these guys say to me, and these women say to me? Well, you know what? We're able to get them through, 3 or 4 years of and make them happy, and feel good about themselves. No, you're not. It takes at least 2 years before they see the results that may make them feel whole again, and that's unusual because you're not going to get it in the first pass, and then the hair is going to start to miniaturize over time.
Yeah.
I've never seen a woman. And this is the truth. I've never seen a woman who has, in my view, a completely natural hair transplant.
Yeah,
and
if they do wear like a man style, like really short, kind of thing. So I mean, I get it.
I've known celebrities. I've known celebrities, like real well-known people, who've fallen for the hairline lowering gimmick. Yeah. If you actually look at them without makeup, they're fucked.
Oh, well, big time.
Joe,
they have that app that you could you could take a picture and it shows them without makeup, and like, what? I mean, I've seen a picture. I don't know if you've seen that meme. There's a potato, and somebody did makeup on the potato, and the potato looked hot. I swear to God, I was like, I'll take that potato, whatever. But, like, before, I do have one question, but before I do ask this question, I could see why the previous caller was talking about how these young girls that are, like, up to 25 years of age, they feel entitled, And, because they look hot, and you're the type of girl that every man wants right now, right? Especially a white 25-year-old, between 19 and 25. They're, like, at their prime. But then I start thinking, and I start realizing why there's so many Karens out there. I don't know if you know what I mean by a Karen.
Tell me.
That's because you guys know what I mean by a Karen, right?
I don't.
Well, Karen is those type of girls or women actually that are much older, maybe out their 30s or 35s, where they're just nasty and pissed off all the time, and they're the ones behind you honking the horn. You know what I'm talking about?
They're the ones paying at the grocery store with checks.
Yeah, like really pissed off and nasty attitude all the time. Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I'm like, you don't have a fucking debit card, bitch? Come on.
You don't have cash? Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like really like they hate living, and I think that's because they were beautiful once, and then once they reach a certain age and their hair starts falling out, they don't have that beauty anymore. They don't see all these doors opening for them anymore. They're resentful, and they end up like that.
That's why I think parents really do their children and their, especially little girls, a tremendous disservice by not helping them to have a level of self-confidence that is beyond their appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. I wish they would do that. I mean, I wish there was something like this radio show that helps guys that are balding. I wish there was another show like that that would help young women.
There actually is
a reality in the future.
There actually is a new podcast that has, I think, 2 episodes by the Women's Hair Loss Project, and it's pretty significant. I mean, I really actually the first 2 episodes record here in my studio, and it's getting a really good response. Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's a good show.
Where this she calls herself Y. I don't know where she's going to take the show. Right now, she's talking about wearing hair and hairstylists and hairstyles and how to deal with wearing hair and dealing with androgenetic alopecia at a young age. But it may end up developing into what you're talking about, and I hope that it does.
Yeah. I mean, it's the age where women, I think, are going to start embracing baldness and hair loss, because look at Ricky Lake, right? I think it's just at that age where it's going to start being more common, and eventually you're going to be okay being with a girl in a bar and she has a balding and she's hot to you. Who knows?
Well, I have to say, and I will tell you this: if a woman, and it's rare, but if a woman looks really good with a shaved head or a buzzed cut, and you see them once in a while, like you see these anomalies that can shave their head, they have really long legs, and they they have the perfect facial structure, and you're just like, wait a second, that is really hot. Yeah. I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Zero problem with it, because I think of the chick from I forgot her name. She was a really popular model back in the late 70s, and she was the bald chick on Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Yeah. Totally.
And she actually she actually shaved her head for the role. 1979, she did that shit. She looked awesome. I was like, what? Oh, my God.
Yeah. I have to tell you, as a kid, I actually think I had a couple of moments from that chick who was on a television show about those aliens that came to...
the ones that couldn't drink rotten milk?
Yeah. They drink.
Yes.
They drink rotten milk to get loaded instead of booze.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure I had a couple of moments with that chick in my mind.
Oh, what was that called? I know that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question, really quick. I don't know if you guys have time, but
we have time for one quick question, then we're going to call it a night.
Perfect. Yeah. Hey, Joe, I'm thinking of doing the PRP. Do you recommend it? I saw your video about the PRP treatment. I saw your beautiful hairstylist say, hey, your PRP looks like it worked for you. I mean, it's been some time afterwards. What do you think? Is it still something you would recommend?
I think that, well, I don't recommend it across the board, because no 2 PRP approaches are the same. Or, I mean, some of them are, but what that means is it's such an unregulated procedure, and there's no standards whatsoever. You got to keep in mind, like most of the clinics are offering this. They're offering it just because they know it's supposed to do something. They don't really understand anything behind it. Like, even the experts don't really understand the science behind it. So what you got to do is, if you're going to consider PRP, you got to find a clinic that has consistent documentation that shows improvements from the procedure. And there aren't a lot of clinics out there that can offer that. So I recommend I recommend it as a viable option if you've found the right clinic that can apply it. But it's not for everyone. Like if you've got if you're slick bald, forget about it. Like if you got a bald spot with just a few hairs left, don't waste your time. If you have diffuse thinning, then it may do something great for you. And I usually tell people that the best responders to a properly composed PRP approach are the same people that will benefit from Propecia as well, the most. And those are diffuse thinners that haven't lost everything. It's just a general thinning throughout a specific area.
Got it. All right. That definitely answers my question then. Thanks,
Yeah.
Joe. And
All right, man.
thanks for taking my call, and happy Valentine's, guys. And thank you for all the great work you guys do.
All right, man.
Yeah,
Joe wishes
absolutely.
you a happy
Thanks for the call.
Valentine's Day. Thanks for the call.
Absolutely, sweetie.
All right, later, man.
Later.
Good night.
You want to call it a night?
Let's call it a night.
All right, guys, sorry, guys, we're holding on. We're hanging up the lines. When Andrew gets back from his night, he's got to help me fix this thing.
He does. And H. Wood in the chat room says, Amber Rose, also with a shaved head. You're right. She rocks it.
Who's she?
She used to date...
I'm just kidding. You don't have to talk about the porn chicks that you like.
She's not a porn chick.
Oh, she's not?
She's actually...
that's
she's,
a chick. She's like a singer or some shit.
She was like a girlfriend. She was a backup dancer, I think, at one point. She was a girlfriend of some rapper. And then she became famous for being famous. So...
Very nice.
That's all I got.
I think I know who she is.
Yeah.
Black chick with short, cropped, dyed blonde hair.
Yes.
Or silver
yes.
hair. Yeah.
I don't even know if she's black. She might be Hispanic or... Anyway, doesn't matter.
Dark-skinned beauty.
Not pigmentation challenged like myself.
I see. All right, Joe, I don't know. I mean, it's late, man. I'm tired. Do you want to give out any websites or do you want to wait for next time?
Next time.
Okay. I'll give out our websites. Hairtransplantmentor.com for anything and everything Joe Tillman. If you want to learn about Joe's journey, learn more about hair transplant surgery in general, that is a great place to get your information. Also, Joe Tillman's YouTube page, which a lot of you guys are watching the broadcast on right now. That is youtube.com/hairtransplantmentor. Please subscribe to the broadcast and also ring that bell so you're notified. We want as many people subscribing to Joe's page as possible because this is where we are doing the live video feed from. It's also seen on guysfromqueens.com or GFQ, what is it, GFQlive.tv? Is that it?
I don't remember. I think so.
Jesus, I'm getting old. American Hair Loss Association is AmericanHairLoss.org. The International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons is IAHRS.org. If you are, interested in engaging, speaking with, communicating with other hair loss sufferers who may be listeners of this broadcast or who just may be guys who have found the forum, we have a message forum called baldtruthtalk.com. But remember, please don't take any advice from anonymous people on a message forum. Please, for crying out loud, especially if you're going to have surgery. Don't listen to these fucking people. Understand the source. Know where the information comes from before you even consider doing your research. And if someone tells you to slide into their DMs, that's what the kids say, or PM them, or
run.
Can I PM you with information? Fucking run, dude. Run.
That's right.
Bald Truth Talk does not have a PMing system for a reason, because they are dirty. The back ends of these websites are the worst of the worst shit goes on there. People trying to sell you hair transplants, products and services, guys who act as though that they're real patients when they are not. We've caught them all. Personally, I know that I'm going to get flack for this, but if I was doing any serious research, I mean, come on. someone wanted to PM me, I'd be like, thanks, Steve. Listen, I'll see what's public, and then I'll start to do my research.
I also think it's questionable. I mean, it kind of reveals the whole point of a platform if they keep pushing you to have, click on this link to have consultations with qualified doctors. They're just trying to make money for everyone. That's all it is. They don't give two shits about whether you've actually done your research or not. They just want to provide leads for their doctors. Remember that.
Yeah, well, that's the nature of this business. That is the reality of what goes on. I do enjoy when people are like, well, people pay, these doctors are paying to be on your forum, or doctors contact me and they're like, we'd like to advertise on your forum. I'm like, what are you talking about? You can't advertise on my fucking forum.
It's like, have you seen my forum?
Yeah, we don't accept sponsorship for the fucking forum. Yeah, if you're an IHS member, you can utilize the forum and you get a password and a login, and you can post images and you can communicate with other people, but you can't sell anything on it. Fuck. I have to say that, the way forums have been run over the years, I mean, it completely, in the minds of these doctors, they're all fucking twisted. They think that's what message forums should be about.
As opposed to, I don't know, education.
God damn it. Sorry. They really...
He's on fire, man.
They really fucking... the forum world really, unfortunately, devoured the integrity that was once, to some degree, in this field.
A noble endeavor. Not even that. I can't say that.
Listen, when I started the IHS, I really believed in when I had a list of doctors, of recommended doctors in the Bald Truth book. No one paid me. I did it because I was only able to find 11 doctors who did decent surgery, and I was like, fuck, this is fucked up. I'm going to recommend these guys. And they viewed it as, oh, this is great fucking marketing, man. We want to be connected to this. And I'm like, all right, okay, cool. We're starting a website. If you guys want to support it, you can. But if you choose not to, we're still going to promote you. This is at the beginning of the Bald Truth list. And all kinds of shit started happening with forums and this and that, and people just spending money to be marketed and advertised. It just bastardized the entire concept of developing a society where, yes, doctors pay dues to be part of the IHS. And the reason we have to charge more than, say, a larger organization is because we don't work on volume. It's limited to people who actually have enough time on tissue to be in this fucking industry. Not anyone who's just interested in doing it. Anyway, I can go on forever. It's frustrating.
Interesting concept.
Yeah, it's frustrating. A lot of the old school doctors, the old guard, still see things that way. Luckily, the new guys that are coming into the field are like, wait, we want to be connected to the American Hair Loss Association. We like your message. We want to be connected to the IHS. We love what you guys are doing. We love the Bald Truth. How do we support you? And yeah, it's great to be associated with us, and it's good for their third-party credibility. That's powerful.
Yeah.
But that's the only way, that's what's going to sell your wares, is that you support what we do. You are credible because, we support you as well. That's it. No one's going to be filling out any forms. You're not going to get any email saying, so-and-so wants to have a consultation with you. That model is dying.
It really is. It's actually on life support at this point.
It's terrible
Just saying.
that ever existed, in my view.
Yeah, I agree.
Guys, just be careful out there. And I just want to make this clear. I'm not a complete altruist. We all need to make a living. I've enjoyed doing what I do for a long time. Kind of look at how people actually make their living, though, in this field. Then you can actually be a better judge on what their intentions are. And then it goes for my man Joe Tillman, who gets shit for doing the right thing. I can't even understand that one.
Haters gonna hate.
I'm just going to put that in a fucking loop. Hey guys, thebaldtruth.com for archives of this broadcast. We have a new YouTube page of youtube.com/baldtruthradio. We're going to have segments of this program. We're also going to have positive Propecia segments. Guys who call in who actually have positive experience with Propecia to kind of add some balance to the online atmosphere when it comes to this hair loss community.
There's 2 clips up already.
So please take the time to subscribe. YouTube.com/baldtruthradio. Ring the bell. Please, we need as many subscribers as possible to defray all the bullshit that is currently online and on YouTube. Until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening, guys.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.